Could we please stand for pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I ask you just take a moment, please, to remember the passing of Steve Overby and Alan Bennett Sr. Thank you.
Start with the public portion of the meeting. Ann Hall.
Not exactly Ann, close enough. It's John Hall. And on behalf of the Georgica Association, I wanted to thank the trustees for the, I guess it was successful, briefly, effort to open the pond before Hermine arrived. The level of cooperation between the association and the trustees was, I think, where it should always be and hopefully will be in the future. We learned a little something about the bottom of the pond, and hopefully next time will be a fully successful effort. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah, so we made 2 attempts to open the pond before the storm. The first attempt, Dan wanted to try early in the morning before the crowds arrived, and the tide was coming in. So he basically gave up, went back in the afternoon, got a good flow going. High tide came in, and it closed it off again. That sandbar is impeding the flow really badly. I've seen it open before, and it's like a white water river going through there, and this is nothing like that. So we'll try again sometime.
The southeast wind didn't help you.
That didn't help either.
Yep.
No.
So I just know from the email that I wasn't in favor of opening it in the face of the storm.
Mhm.
Your brother wasn't either, but I didn't see any of the responses from the rest of the board. But I would just, for the record, just say, if it was briefly successful, I still stand by my opinion that opening it in the face of a storm, you're letting more water in there rather than, you can't let enough water out before that storm surge comes in. Best to let Mother Nature take its course, and if it breaches, it breaches.
Well,
Yeah.
what was happening is where it breached in the spring, it was flowing right over that west end again, and we were just trying to make an effort to alleviate the pressure over there. They've already lost most of that dune. There are pictures, I can share them with you.
Yeah.
And during the tide, it was right up against that beach house again. So
Yeah.
it was worth a try, I thought.
Yeah.
Well, at least you made an effort to
Mhm.
not erode the dune.
Mhm.
So, the association can look at that as a good gesture on our part.
And we have more data and ammunition for our excavation permit.
Yes, for the dredging, we can show that.
Now, have we,
It's
hey,
really needed.
Francis, we had that meeting a few weeks ago. Has there been any updates? Have you gotten anything back from Kim Shaw's office regarding whether they've moved forward on that fish assay?
He has resubmitted. Bruce isn't here. Oh, that's right.
This isn't Bruce.
That's not Bruce. No?
No.
Okay. Okay, well, as far as I know, they haven't gotten any further yet.
Okay, well.
Fish, Jim? Do you mean the flounder research, the one?
Well, there is no flounder in there. We're looking for
Is that what you're
something.
talking about?
Yeah, we're snipe hunting. If we're looking for flounder, we're really snipe hunting. But no, one of the things that Army Corps was requiring of Georgica Pond, of the dredging permit, was an assessment of what, fish and crustaceans are in there, and, it was a fish study. Basically, it's an assay of populations.
I just haven't heard about it.
But it's something that, this is impeding the process. DEC's not moving until Army Corps signs off. Army Corps is not going to sign off until this is done. Town supervisor was present at the meeting. He gave a verbal nod to move this thing forward. I think it's important that we stay on top of this.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're going to lose yet another window to to address this, and given the amount of erosion that occurred in Montauk, I think as far as adding sand to the littoral drift, I think the town understands where they'd like to put it. I think what's important now is to get permits in place, make whatever deal we're going to need to make with the town, and it's going to make a lot more sense than right now. What's going on is the present proposal is to do the dredging similar to what was done in the past, but move this sand to a holding area where it'll be distributed. Quite frankly, you're adding cost. Every time you touch this product, you're adding cost to whoever the end user is, and if the end user is our town, I think what's important is to set something up right now where that material gets excavated, gets stockpiled, goes right from that beach point east and gets deposited where it's going to go. That's what actually makes the most sense.
The most efficient process.
It's the most efficient, and at the end of the day, the trustees, I believe, should get compensated for that sand, but more importantly, every effort should be made to reduce the cost to the taxpayers of this community in terms of what the end, what the net cost on this stuff is, so.
Well said, I agree.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
In the past, there has been no cost to the taxpayers. That's
No.
the one. Yeah.
No, but obviously at this point, Diane, if this is now going to become a public project, I think, we got to understand that.
Good.
Well, this is
Proving that
going to be a
Shoals
true dredging. It's
Wait
going,
for my tone.
I know, but you know as well, it's been done by excavator in the past, and it's really not been successful. It's gotten worse in there. It needs to be done by a dredge, and there can be a permanent channel created so that you get the
I'm going to be
gut.
honest with you, Francis, I don't agree with that.
I don't mean
at
a
all.
channel, I mean inside the pond, so that
No,
when
but
it's
I
open-
don't agree that a dredge is actually the.
Really? Why?
No. Why? Because you got something that if you can work off a dry bottom, when you dredge something, okay, how much is, if that thing is a 6 or an 8-inch or 10-inch dredge, how much of that material do you think is actually solids that's being drawn out of there? Maybe
30%?
not even close, maybe 20%, okay? So you're pumping a whole lot of gallons to get maybe not quite so much sand, and you have the convenience here of basically being able to bale that material up to a point where it's very accessible. I think the methodology isn't a problem. I think the biggest issue down there is the fact that the last few times that this has been dredged, you had a permit, let's say, to take 10,000 yards of material when you really needed to take 15,000. Okay, so the next time you go into dredge, you took another 10,000, but you really needed to get ahead of it to take 20,000 yards. I think what really has to happen now is you have to take what they're applying for, a significant amount of sand out of there. And
And we need to ask for some remediation with regard to the DEC requirements for dredging windows, understanding that we were held up a lot just simply due to weather. You got a permit to take out 12,000 cubic yards of sand, and half of the days you can't get down there because the weather. So we need to, the excavation, I think Jim's right. If we could have gotten enough sand out of there annually.
So Jim, you think that an excavator, Long Reach excavator, could do
I mean,
the job?
you realize an excavator can bail an incredible amount of material out rather quickly.
Right, but can you get into the interior or center of
Oh,
the
yeah,
pond?
when that pond is down, you sure can.
Well, one concern is also stirring up sediment as you do this work. And I know with a suction dredge, you're sucking up anything you stir up will get sucked up with it in the water
In
that you're talking
theory.
about. In theory, yeah. Well, you have less of the sediment disturbing from the suction dredge than you would with dipping a huge excavator in there and pulling out.
Yeah, but Tyler, you're not
Yeah, buckets of
transporting this
sand.
material over that long a distance.
So that's not what's important here. I'm talking about the effects on the pond from internal input of nitrogen to the pond system, because you have so much locked
There is- can I tell
nitrogen and
you-
other things locked up in the sediment layer. There are all kinds of
but
nutrients that you
Tyler,
don't want to kick up and stir up. So I
But
think a
Tyler,
suction dredge
recognize that
helps
the area
for
that
that.
we're taking this from is almost pure sand. There is no sediment that you're stirring up. Okay, the sediment's more at the northern end of the pond.
Yeah,
This
it's more
is
sediment-rich
sand.
up there,
This
finer
is
sediment.
sand that's all shoaled from the ocean side, so it's
It's near the
clean.
inlet too, so most of it won't end up impacting the upper parts of the system. But it's a concern that I want to bring up, because that is
Well, it's a
important. It's not
concern,
to-
but
not to
the hard,
disturb the
but the
bottom
hard
too much for
reality
you
here
to pick it up.
is the flow in that pond is to the south.
Yeah, yeah.
Even when the pond is full, there's this given amount of flow that's going into that bar.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I still think that's ultimately going to be
Do you
the,
think they could actually take an excavator into?
they have,
They-
it's
that's how
happened
they've
in the
done it.
past.
That's how they've done it, yeah.
Yeah.
I pictured it always from the side. What's it do to the machine? Well,
It's
that's-
dry.
They're working on
It's
dry
They open it-
ground.
They open it, close it again, and then go in with the machine.
Yeah. And what it is the goal is before that pond begins to build back, before the fresh water begins to build back in that pond, that's when you accomplish your excavation. I don't see you really using a dredge in there really efficiently or effectively. Because, for instance, what happens in the middle of your dredging thing if the dike breaks and the pond breaches? Okay, it's like freaking Noah's Ark. The dredge goes high and dry. It's not a really good-looking situation. I personally would prefer to stick with a methodology that we know works.
It's a good
that
consideration. I hadn't thought about that, yeah. It's not my expertise, you know a lot more about
Because
machinery than I do.
I don't know
but as far
shit
as the-
about it, but
No, no,
the
you
fact
and
of
your
the matter
family
is,
have a pretty good
I think
expertise
it's sort
on
of
machinery
common
like that.
sense
so-
here.
Yeah.
This has been done time and time again. The issue here is not what's been done, it's the amount of what's been done. We're not taking enough sand out of the pond, and geez, coincidentally, is there a use for that sand? I don't know. Billy Mack, is there a use for that sand? I would like to hear a comment on it.
Come on up.
Yeah, you want to come up and speak your piece on it?
Billy Mack, First Coastal. We've dredged the pond several times, and we've done it exactly as you're describing, which is mechanically with an excavator. We found that, as Diane pointed out, you can never predict when the storms are going to happen, so you have to get in there, do the work quick, dry the sand out, and transport it out of where you're stockpiling it quite quickly, or else you could lose it, and it'll just silt back into the pond.
Right.
So we found the most effective way to do that is with large excavators and haul trucks. And we've done it many times.
If it can reach and get a lot of sand out, then
Where do you dry
it's a good
it
option.
when you place the sand to dry?
When you excavate a section out, call it like 100 by 50 foot, you stockpile the sand immediately adjacent to it. It dries. By the time you're done with that, it's dry enough to actually put it into a truck and load it out. So within hours of you excavating it, you can transport it down the beach and stockpile it somewhere safe. Yeah. And if you're looking for anybody to take the sand or purchase it, I've got plenty of oceanfront property owners that would be eager to purchase it.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have a few
It's
in
never been a
Montauk.
problem.
Or anywhere else.
And I think the last time we implemented that project, Mr. Mack's firm and another local firm were on the beach at the same time from either side of the gut. Both of them digging, trying to get whatever they
And
could
I don't
out
think,
there.
we didn't even reach the maximum out of the
Yeah.
short period of time.
Right,
We only got about 3,000 or 4,000 each
right.
out of it. And, but the immediate properties in Waynescott could certainly benefit from this sand, and I'd be happy to go on the record that they'd be willing to purchase it, and we'd be willing to excavate it.
What is the window that you've been given in the past by DEC?
Well, I believe in the past they've used the winter flounder season as the cutoff date, which is, I think, January 30th or January 15th.
And how early can you start?
You can start after September, so October 1st. So it's a relatively tight period of time because you still have hurricane season to deal with. But, as soon as November to, I think it's maybe the
January.
1st or 15th of January is the time. Yeah.
So how far are we from approval?
Farther than we want to be.
Well, we'll
Probably not
shake it
this
up.
year. Probably not this year.
It's, we've lost.
Thank you.
What troubles me is we're losing another year nobody seems to be moving with any sense of urgency on this thing. And all the while, our beaches are vulnerable, the pond's health is declining, and
No, we're aware of this. The fish survey, though, I mean, isn't there data out there of what animals are in the pond? I mean, we know most of them. They need a whole
apparently they're
new
asking for
survey to be
this.
done?
The expediting company that's handling this is capable and willing to do this. It was a matter of, one, getting the town board's approval, which was given, and then getting it scheduled. But I think what really needs to happen at this point is we need to apply pressure to natural resources, and I would hope the town board would be doing the same, because it's in their interest as well here. I mean, we both have a common goal at this point.
So where is the bottleneck? Inside the town or at DEC?
The bottleneck right now is being blamed on Army Corps.
Army Corps?
Army Corps is asking for additional information before they can sign off, and DEC's not going to move until Army
This
Corps.
is Fish and Wildlife, sounds like.
Yeah.
See Rick's wheels turning.
All right.
You had an answer?
Well,
Work on it.
sounds like U.S. Fish and Wildlife, which advised the Army Corps is asking for this information.
Yeah. But what we really need to do is the expediter that we've all hired, we need to apply pressure there and get this done as soon as humanly possible.
Because I think I had asked if, rather than spending time collecting more data on the fisheries, on the plovers, you know, whatever impacts there had been, to just say,
Whether you can resupply
we've- right.
existing data.
we've got 10 years' worth of data. We opened that pond, we excavated it for 10 years. We still had successful plover population up on that beach. Didn't have any complaints on the fishermen about the fish stocks or the crabs or whatever. Reach out to them. Did you have any problems while it was being excavated? There's your data right there.
The populations were
Pond
healthier.
wasn't affected by the excavation.
The populations were definitely healthier
Yeah.
during those years.
And that's just
Crabs.
it. If we get
If
this
we'd
job
never
done.
done this before, I could
I
understand the
think,
question.
Diane,
know?
you know what would be helpful? You've got some experience with this. Rick and I are new. It would really be nice if you help us out with this, because, you might be able to glean exactly the information we need from some of the past history here
Well, just let me know what
Okay.
what I can do
tomorrow.
tomorrow, okay? Wait, where, what, when?
Well, let's catch Kim Short at 9:01.
Well, actually, I'll be working at 9:01, but I'll probably be free by 10,
She gets in at like 8:30.
10:15. Yeah? Yeah, I start between 8 and 8:30, and I'm done by 10. The
Okay.
horses I'm feeding.
You got my cell, call me.
I'll call you.
let there.
Call you when I'm done at the
Available
farm.
around noon.
Okay,
If you want to do a
You
lunchtime
know
meeting.
she's listening and she won't be there.
yeah.
No, she's pretty, no, actually, I think Kim's really good. I think, listen, I think we're all.
I know Kim's
I
very
think
good.
we're all trying to get the same thing done here. I think the best thing we can do is, one, show interest, try and help any way we can, and most important, make sure everybody understands we haven't forgotten about this, and that it's important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even the Friends of Georgica Pond.
I agree with everything you said.
And the Georgia Association as well, which has a deep interest in that same.
Okay. Move on. Simon Kinsella?
New York State hearing this morning, things are messed up. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I gave mine away. That's
One more
okay.
over here,
That's all I
Simon.
have.
That's okay.
Sure. Oh, there you go.
Thank you.
Chairman, trustees, I wanted to talk with you about tonight the proposed car wash in Wainscott at the corner of Eastgate Road and Montauk Highway, and the effect that it will have on Georgica Pond and Wainscott Pond. I'm not quite sure whether you're aware of the proposal at this time. You are. I've provided there a letter of quite detailed. I read through the application, and in short, I was horrified by what I read. A lot of it, I'm surprised that it has gotten this far. It might be just easy if I read through the letter, and if you jump in at any point to ask further questions. It's a record containing details of the aforementioned application. It's called the Golden Car Wash. It's a special permit under consideration by the East Hampton Town Planning Board. It is a franchise operation. The franchise is called Tommy Car Wash, or Tommy Car Wash Express. And please take the time to visit that URL that I've put down on the first page of the letter. You'll get an idea of what to expect. The main issue is that it's less than 1 mile upstream from Georgica Pond and Wainscott Pond. It's a serious health concern, not just for the wildlife and the ecosystems immediately downstream, but for the health of those who drink water from the wells downstream. I am one of them. Eat fish and crabs from the ponds downstream and swim in the waters downstream. I'm one of those as well. The natural wildlife, as I'm sure you're aware, and the pristine beaches and our bucolic scenery about Georgica Pond and Wainscott Pond depend 100% upon the water upstream. Both the ponds are also in the East Hampton scenic area of statewide significance, and to build a car wash in this area will undoubtedly threaten its significance. People come to Eastern Long Island for the water. Water provides our surfing, sailing, swimming, etc. It provides our unique light that attracts so many artists. The water bodies provide for the seafood that restaurants serve, for the large industry built on seafood export. Water keeps the air cool. Water provides our drinking, and for the water is in which we bathe. We are actually made up of water. Needless to say, water is very important, and we can't risk it. This proposed car wash risks that water. Many thousands of people each summer recreate in Georgica Pond, and they have no protection at the moment from the toxins which may enter the water from upstream from this car wash. It poses a grave health risk. As you know, the pond has been closed for the last 2 summers to fishing and crabbing due to microcystin. I don't need to go into those details. You're fully aware of them. You may not be aware that graph that I handed out to you shows the comparison between Wainscott Pond and Georgica Pond, specifically the algal blooms. You can see the ladder mountain of algal bloom is very significant, many times greater in Wainscott Pond than it is in Georgica Pond. The last reading, which is not on that graph, I think was about 290 micrograms, so it's actually not much less than that top peak there. The car wash wouldn't help that problem, to say the least. The applicant for the car wash proposes to discharge what it calls biosludge into the groundwater via subsurface disposal. Of the estimated 1,500 to 2,000 gallons of chemicals that will be stored at any one time on site at the car wash, it is reasonable to expect, based on an analysis of the chemicals sold, that about 75% of the chemicals will be acutely toxic to men and women, with published warnings that include may damage fertility, or the unborn child, extremely corrosive to mucous membranes, mouth, throat and stomach, causes severe skin burns and eye damage. 3 chemicals actually go so far as to say fatal if swallowed. And 2 other chemicals warn fatal in contact with skin. In short, the chemicals are not very environmentally friendly. I've included 2 examples of some of the chemicals. There are 118 different chemicals that will be used at the car wash. You'll see at the back page 2 examples, and the health warnings there. May be fatal if swallowed and enters airways is one warning, and the other warning, fatal if swallowed. And of course, down there it says, very toxic to aquatic life. They're the chemicals that they plan to use a mile upstream and via the subsurface disposal system put through into the groundwater. Nearly all the chemicals sold, 97% of them, have warnings not to allow the cleaning chemicals to enter the groundwaterways and/or the cleaning chemicals, and that the cleaning chemicals are toxic to aquatic life. It only takes one absent-minded employee who is most likely earning a minimum wage to accidentally spill a 55-gallon drum of these chemicals, or for a truck driver unloading a skid to accidentally drop 5 of these 55-gallon drums. Of greater concern is a pervading culture of recklessness, insofar as there is no mention anywhere of a disaster recovery plan for when there is a spillage of hazardous chemicals. And I say when there is a spillage, not if there is a spillage. The car wash franchise claims to recycle its water, but by using a biological waste restoration system. But this system is not a system designed to eliminate hazardous chemicals and harsh detergents from entering into our wastewater, our drinking water, or from harming our wildlife. The water recycling system has not been certified or approved by the Environmental Protection Agency, the DEC, or any other environmental organisation, and it has not been accredited with any. It has not been accredited as a system that complies with any environmental standards whatsoever. The franchise fails to address many of the contaminants that have been cited by the EPA and that car washes are known to produce, most notably phosphates, benzene, lead, zinc, chromium, arsenic, nitrates, etc. You can read the list there. They do mention what they call water quality levels. One of their water quality levels is the biochemical oxygen demand of 150 milligrams per litre. This level of water quality is similar to that of untreated sewage. In other words, they treat the water, they recycle the water just to save the cost of buying the water. It's not to remove the chemicals so that it can be discharged into the environment.
Simon, let me stop you there.
Yeah.
How far has this gone with the planning board?
There is a workshop session this Wednesday night.
Have they done secret? Has the planning department done secret on this yet?
The application that was filed only had the environmental assessment form in the short version. They did put out a memo, one of the members of the planning board, it was a memo to the planning board, saying that it is a type 1 action. That came out last week. Mm-hmm. That's the first time it's been...
So they're requiring a long form?
They haven't said as much, but that's the recommendation to the board. The board hasn't accepted it yet. I'm pushing not just for the long form, of course, but a full environmental impact statement.
That's all the same thing.
Well, no, technically they're not.
It's going to happen as part of it.
I hope so.
And so is a public hearing.
Yes.
they are the people that are going to decide whether this is going to happen or not. That's the board.
Yes.
We're aware of this, but,
Well, I'm bringing it to your attention so you're aware
We-
of all the chemicals that are involved.
I think we
and the
should be
impact
represented at
on-
the meeting is probably the most.
Yeah, I've been asked to have somebody there.
Yeah, this is why I'm bringing it to your attention. I don't expect you guys to make a decision. I wish you would.
no, but a public hearing will be held at their board, and we will be there.
Great, that's
But
what I
in
wanted.
the proximity to the ponds, I think it's important that we weigh in on it as well.
Yeah.
And I certainly appreciate, the information that you brought here. Golden Car Wash, it sounds like a retirement community in Florida. Had this guy done his homework, he probably would have gotten more of a favorable response if he named it Bonnet Car Wash.
I think you're absolutely
But
right.
all joking aside, I for one, am not in favor of this, for
Yeah.
the reasons that you're stating. Thank you.
I really
Simon,
can't imagine
I
many
know,
of us
yeah.
are in favor of this.
Simon, I'll be there Wednesday evening.
I'll
If
go
any other
next.
members care to join me there, I'll be happy to join you.
I also enclosed a letter from Dr. Gobler as well
I saw it.
regarding the car wash. I don't know whether...
He's very right that phosphates are a huge danger in all this.
Yes.
A lot of phosphates in a lot of those soaps, and that can be even more, a bigger contribution to eutrophication of the ponds than nitrogen even is. Phosphate can be really dangerous for algae blooms and eutrophication. So
I did the breakdown with some help of all the chemicals involved. I have a spreadsheet of everything, lots of different tables. So if you need further information or want further information, by all means, just ask me. Whilst we're talking about Wainscott Pond, I have begun to speak with people around the pond about forming an organisation to look after it and for some community input on the pond. I haven't got as far as I would have liked to get because a lot of my time has been taken up with this car wash and bringing people together and raising awareness of it, because prior to a month ago there wasn't much awareness about it. Dr. Gobler has kindly provided a proposal to us, a study proposal with costings, etc.
great.
So as soon as I get the chance, I'll be taking that around, and hopefully we'll start looking at the pond, what's in the pond, what's problems with the pond, and then working out a remediation plan. I think it may be a different circumstance or different remediation plan to that of Georgica Pond, mainly because they're very different ponds.
Simon, could you please forward any correspondence you have like that to the trustee office to keep us in the loop
Yeah, of course.
regarding your progress?
Yeah.
That would be great. Thank you.
I'm glad you're here tonight. I have something I wanted to tell you, actually, because when you had been here during the summer and we had a discussion about, the algae bloom starting in Wainscott Pond and the health of the pond and the animals that live in there and the oxygen demands of those animals. And, it was a big concern for you and us, too, that if we got hypoxic conditions in that pond and lost most of the dissolved oxygen, that we'd be losing a lot of important animals in that pond. It doesn't have the same, benefit that Georgica does, where we could open it in an emergency situation. We're trying to think of some emergency measures to take in that pond if something were to happen like that. And one thing I've come across in a lot of reading I've been doing is, the idea of aeration in pond bottoms as, a helpful, another tool in your toolbox to use to help protect the pond's health and keeping some kind of aeration happening at the hypolimnar layer, the bottom layer, hypolimnal layer, and that that's an area that can really go through hypoxia a lot of times, and you have animals down there that might spend time on the bottom. And so one situation, one technique we could use in an emergency situation is actually adding an aeration system to the bottom of the pond, which is actually one of the least intrusive ways of doing something in these ponds. If you can have it kind of running up to the shore and have a pump that pumps air down to the bottom, it just lets small bubbles of air out at the bottom that can aerate the pond a bit, so you don't have things dying.
I've seen that.
It would require some kind of. That would only be in emergencies, of course. It's not a fix, something that would fix the whole problem, of course. But might be not a nice tool in our toolbox, but we need, again, access to be able to do that.
I don't think access is a problem. Yeah, I mean, you'll have the cooperation. Everyone I've spoken to, there hasn't been a problem. No one's been against it. I've seen aeration used in ponds many places, and it's quite successful. Dr. Gobler has come up with some other suggestions as well. So hopefully there won't be a drastic situation. The good news is that last time I was down at the pond, I saw birds diving in the pond. So there are obviously fish. Nice. Which is nice to see. And a lot of the wildlife, turtles and tortoises and things like that, and otter, they can survive without oxygen in the water.
Yeah, they'll climb on out of there.
Have the trustees been given access to the pond? Francis?
I haven't heard of it yet.
Okay.
I thought, I didn't realise that you didn't have access to the pond.
No, we spoke about that last time you were
Yeah,
here.
that's been the problem.
No, they did a search and nothing came
Well,
up.
I haven't heard the results.
Oh, Rick?
About what?
Access to Wainscott Pond.
Yeah, did we discuss that? I don't remember. I thought we did.
Yeah, we did.
We did do title search. There is an access easement off the western end of Beach Lane toward its southern end, but it turned out to be purely for access to the adjoining private properties. There is no public access incorporated in that easement.
So
at the moment,
Simon.
we have literally no public access to.
I'm flabbergasted.
Work on that.
I believe that you're responsible for a body of water that you're not allowed to go
Yeah.
and visit.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It's completely landlocked from us.
But I don't think, the property owners around the pond, they're good people.
You seem to know them. Maybe you could put in a good word for us.
Of course. Yeah, well, I'll make,
And keep that in mind with your project planning, that,
of course.
access is gonna
I'm
be
just
important.
surprised that you don't have access, but yes.
It's not the only one.
Okay. We'll make sure that you get access. So who's been taking the samples?
Dr. Goldberg.
Dr. Gober has
His team.
secured access.
Okay, so he's, probably, I noticed his samples are from the south end, so he probably drives down that road. Okay, leave that one with me.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much,
Simon.
Simon. So can we draft up some kind of letter to submit to the planning board too, or what? I mean, just being there enough, you think? I feel like anything we can do
When is it on the
for
agenda?
this car wash thing, that,
If you could write a
It's
letter,
Wednesday, right?
that would be terrific. It would carry a lot of
we'll have to
weight.
get it by this Wednesday, but
Yeah.
Is there a public hearing this Wednesday?
Maybe we can hand deliver it.
Hang on,
that's a work session.
back up, it's a work session. Let's not get ahead of this.
Yeah, I think
Okay?
you go and see where they are,
Great.
get
I
the
think I've got some
information.
enough faith in the.
Yeah, we have more time to
planning
get a letter out
department
if we
that
need
They
to.
will bring up some
Office, see
questions.
who's
We
there.
certainly can express an interest, but I don't think it's appropriate to preemptively start sending letters on this thing, because you know what? None of us really knows what we're talking about yet.
And Jim, in fact, it's unappropriate.
It certainly is.
Thank you. So we go into the planning office, sit down and talk with the planner.
No, go to the
Take that,
thing
yes.
Wednesday night. Let's listen to
Not
both sides.
Wednesday night, you go into the planning office during the
Yeah,
day.
yeah, but I would do that after the Wednesday night thing. There's nothing being
Yeah,
decided.
they can learn
No.
about it
There's
Wednesday or
not-
something.
There's
I
nothing
agree.
being approved on Wednesday night.
Great,
Am I
then
dismissed?
Rick's gonna be there, I guess?
I will definitely be there.
Okay.
Thank you, Simon.
Thank you, Simon.
Okay, John Ryan.
Thank you for allowing me to come and speak. I'm here in regards to a sign that we put up, we as in Hampton Lifeguard Association. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for everything that you do, because the way our beaches are today is a reflection of what you've done and how you've kept it out here. People come to East Hampton for the beauty of those beaches. And in saying that, I want to say that I come from a little different direction, in the sense of they're out here. I've worked for the town of East Hampton 30-something years, 36 years as an East Hampton town lifeguard, and 26 of those years, 27 of those years has been chief lifeguard for the town of East Hampton. I met a gentleman 10 years ago as I drove down the beach. and ran into him, his 2 sons and his wife. They were on the beach and playing wiffle ball, and I stopped. I looked at him, and he said, "Sorry, is there something wrong?" I said, "No, not at all." I looked at his 2 sons and said, "They look like swimmers," and he says, They are swimmers," and I said to everybody, "They look like swimmers." My job was to say, "Why aren't they in our junior program, lifeguard program?" And he says, "You have no idea. We just literally moved out here. This is the first day we've stepped on the beach. We absolutely love it, and we had no idea about this program." So I told him. He came down the next day to Indian Wells Beach. He witnessed the program. The next day, he was enrolled in the program. His kids made connections. They're from Westchester area, made connection with all the swimmers. And for 10 years, he was known as Sir Hugs-A-Lot, Dominic Kulik. Unfortunately, he made a trip to Puerto Rico recently, and over the winter time, and he had a coral reef and broke his ribs. And 2 days later, he came home, went to hospital, and at 51, he went through a minor surgery and then passed away. He lives 2 houses east of 9A. West of 9A. His 2 sons, family, are so, they love this place so much. They have been very instrumental in helping Hampton Lifeguard Association in promoting water safety. And that's my direction I come from, not just to save lives, but to promote water safety in our community. People come here, and the worst thing we can ever have happen is somebody drowned here. So in doing so, after his passing, we had a paddle out, and we talked to his wife, Lorraine, and she said, and somebody had come up with an idea of, hey, let's get a bench, a memorial bench. And she said, you know what, Dominic would hate the fact that his name would be on a bench and people would be sitting there, tush, on that bench. He loved the beaches. He wants to be part. He loved what you do with your junior program and Hampton Lifeguard Association and what they do to promote water safety. So in any way he can help out, that'd be great. So as Hampton Lifeguard Association, we said, you know what? Sadly, Lorraine told me about this. 5 years ago, I was on the beach. I was called to that same beach, 9A. And Lorraine said, my son's witnessed something very valuable in life. And I will never forget her name, Nancy Scaglione. Nancy passed away at that beach. She was, I can't remember her age, she was in the water trying to help out with children that were caught in the rip, and she passed away. She died, drowned. My sons, Lorraine says, and Dominic said way back, and I forgot about this until she reminded me, my sons had the unfortunate experience of watching you perform CPR on this woman. It was a very valuable lesson, a place they loved, the water they loved. She passed away in an amazing place. So if there's any way now that we can help this community, be it. So we got together, TJ Calabrese and myself, and we said, you know what? There should be more education on water safety. We do it. East Hampton Town Lifeguards do it. We make a trip down there. Anytime it's red flag, yellow flag, we make our trip down there to make sure that people don't experience this, have to witness this, and let them know. You know, we got dangerous currents here. It's an unprotected water. Every day is a yellow flag down there. We can't be there all the time. So TJ and I came up with the idea, you know, let's spend a little money, create a beautiful sign. Not a sign that's going to have a metal rusty post. It's just going to, and people are going to put stickers all over. Make it something nice that people will see. So we did, and it sat there, and I went and I spoke to, right away I drove down there and I found the president, I forget his last name, Jack. I saw someone walking on the road, and I said, hey, I'm looking for the president of the association. She said, I don't know his last name. I know his name's Jack. He lives in the house right down there. So I went and approached him, and he said, look, John, it sounds great. I have to get the approval of the board for the community. And he did, and he called me back later on, and he said, there's a few concerns, plaques, a memorial type of a thing, having, the beach be, someone who passed away. Hate to have it look like a cemetery. And I said, Dominic wouldn't want his name on it, so if you're concerned about that, that's not something that we have to do. The fact is, it's about saving lives. So he said, let me approach the board, and he came back to me, he says, it approved. They approved it. We built it. We built it at a cedar post and and it's a double-sided sign. I noticed that some of the entrances have a little piece of paper thing sitting in a little thing. It's not much. It's at the beginning of the entrance. You almost would miss it if you saw it. This sign is it's 2 by 3, and as you walk on, you see it, and as you walk off, you see it. We also put, and you'll notice that a lot of the beach entrances in the community have a post that's up already, and it has a rescue can that's hanging on it, or and the rope that attaches to the harnesses is frayed or snapped. We replaced that. It's not a shoddy sign. It's a beautiful sign, absolutely beautiful sign. Wouldn't have done it any different for Dominic Cooley. But we waited, and he called me back and said, John, look, even though I got the approval, just something that you ought to be concerned with, you should go to the building department and go to the Board of Trustees. And I said, you're absolutely right. Thank you for letting me know. We will do that. TJ made some phone calls, and unfortunately he went out to Netherlands with his daughter to compete in the world's lifeguard competition. But texting, he said, I did speak to somebody. They said it's a water safety. It's a temporary sign. It will go up in the beginning of the season and come down at the end of the season. So we put that there. I understand there was some concerns about what was put up.
I have a picture of it, John. I'm just showing them a picture of it.
To me, it means everything. Not that it's going to drown-proof this community. We can't ever say that that's going to happen. We can't ever say that it's ever going to be safe in an unprotected area. But one thing we can do is teach and educate, not just one individual, but everybody. Yes.
John, what does the sign say?
It's a rip current sign. It's escape the grip of a rip, and it shows a picture of what a rip current is. Most people don't have any idea what a rip current. Look at the ocean. They say, I see a bunch of waves. It shows you an overview of what it looks like and how to escape the grip of a rip is what it's called. So in any case, that's something that, Main Beach has a giant one on there at their beach. It's to educate. It's just to educate and hopefully save a life. So I will say that eventually, at a point, it sat at the dory barn, standing up in the dory barn, and sitting there, and as I drove the truck, and I made sure I didn't hit it every day, and to the point where the hurricane season had come around, and we were starting to get pounded by the past hurricane. And so my concern is not during hurricane season. It's not during the hurricane. It's right after the fact when most people look at a hurricane surf and say, I'm not going in there. But as soon as it subsides, that's when rip currents really start to take effect, because people think they can handle the ocean because it's not as big. And I can go in, and I don't think about it. Just the other day, I walked down in between 10A and 11A, just to the east. There was a monstrous rip, and there was a family of 4 sitting in front of that. One was the husband. He was sitting reading a book. The wife was standing by the water with her child, probably 8 years old. And then the father, or the grandfather of that child, was going into the water. And I stopped, and I said, just so you know, this was the biggest rip I've seen today, bigger than any down Atlantic Avenue or in any of the protected beaches. It's a monster rip. It's about 8 feet deep, and it's just going to pull you out past the break. And they thanked me, handed out cards, educate. That's our role. Yeah. So again, this is a sign. To me, it doesn't matter where it goes.
Is the sign up now?
It is.
Where is it?
At 9A, right?
Where is that?
Right, it's at Deerfield Beach, Deerfield Beach entrance, Deerfield, right in Beach Hampton.
Deerfield Lane.
Deerfield Lane
Boulevard.
The entrance coming onto the beach, 9A. So I just wanted to, apparently I found out Ed Michaels, great guy, he made it apparent, he came to me and said, hey, by the way, came up. And I said, well, let me go explain myself. And unfortunately, TJ being away, he said he had spoken to somebody. Obviously, he didn't speak to you or any of you about it. So I'm here to first apologize for that happening. But more importantly, I'm here to say it's a great opportunity.
And the deal is that the sign is up seasonally,
Seasonally, correct.
and you guys put it up.
We put it, no, we won't put it up anywhere. We gave it to that association as a gift.
Okay.
Just a gift.
Who's putting it up, who's taking it down?
They are. They have a gentleman that apparently a part of that association, Jack says, they already have somebody that will take it down. My biggest fear was going to be
All right.
taken out by the
Do we have, A, a concern with this? B, do we want to put a blessing on this, so if anything does come up, it's sanctioned by our,
Let me say, it saves lives.
okay.
And John, I would like to say in the early part of spring, at my kitchen table with the kids, this is what a riptide looks like. Just remember it. And I couldn't draw it. It just looked like, what are you trying to do? The next thing, we had mailings. I have one in my car. Just exactly what you have on that sign.
If you had
It's
looked
beautiful.
in that duck blind, there was a sign in that duck blind. Okay?
I personally would like to see them at as many beaches as possible,
There are so
There are
many
so many
signs.
unprotected beaches, and people are not aware.
But people don't read, it's words. This is a picture, and it's the real thing. And I thank you for the lives you save, by the way, in case I forget to say that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm okay with it.
But on the other hand, it is a structure going on the beach. It's being put up by an entity, an association. We're talking snow fences, it's just, it wouldn't hurt to have something in place that annually recognizes that the seasonal sign is going in and going out, just so that future boards, future harbor masters, future
Diane,
whoever
would you put a
don't question.
Would you put a motion on the floor that this is an approved,
Yeah, that's important.
an approved structure? And maybe they can supply us with a letter just asking for that, so everything's documented, it's all there.
I would prefer to get the information and the quest from the association first, so we have someone actually, we know who we're dealing with before we put the blessing on it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so I would say, John, just, if you could reach out to that association and say, please contact the trustees, give them the letter, just like you said, the sign, the size, make sure, you said you use cedar, make sure they say no treated material, strictly for the education of our association and public passerby that might go by, and definitely, it is beautiful, it would be great to have them at other,
No, I think it's
You
a
know-
good idea, because you know what it does do, is invariably, there's going to be some other organization that has a sign that maybe is less
It's a protocol for us.
sort of public-minded.
That's a good point.
right, yeah.
So-
But I do like like Pat said, he's got the postcards, that there's been some in the land building. Maybe we could get a link on our website
Yeah,
to
that'd be
them.
nice. We could
Yeah,
do that.
because they've got that on their website.
Yeah, if we can put the RIP current info on our
Yeah.
website, link it.
Yeah, we should definitely link
Goes to
up.
ours.
I have a
Yeah,
PDF.
yeah.
I can
So
shoot
John,
that.
you
Yeah.
don't have to go overboard with this letter, just something little on your
Yeah.
letterhead,
Right?
that's it.
Not his letterhead, the association's
the
letterhead.
association.
He knows what
Yeah,
I mean.
okay,
And we'll attach it to a motion, which I'm going to talk about later,
Right.
and put it in our file.
Thank you.
And I would say in the interim, it could certainly stay there because of how important its function is. But, if you would just expedite.
I will definitely
letter.
call Jack and, I can't remember his last
Oh, yeah,
name.
fine.
He's the president, and speak to him about this meeting and what we came of it.
yeah. I think I learned something when you said the riptides are worse after the hurricane. That I didn't know. That is so important,
John, thanks for what you do there.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, John.
Thank you for what you do.
Very much.
Thanks, John.
We work well together.
All working together, yeah.
Thank you.
That's good.
Okay.
Nice.
Next, Zachary Cohen. How are you, Zach?
Hey, Zach.
Well, when I'm here, I'm always great. It's always a pleasure, thank you.
Long time.
Oh, I can come more frequently.
Sure.
So I thought since I was planning to come, not necessarily speak, but unless needed, because I saw the beach plum on the agenda. So I said, okay, well, that'll give me an opportunity. I'll speak about a couple things that come up and that Francis and I began talking about. And I think it'd just be brief. It's more informational, but that actually, partially from things that Francis and I were talking about and through request of the administration, the Nature Reserve Committee wants to do a review of pretty much all of the waterfront properties because, taking Girard Drive as an example, over the years we've bought way into the dozens, I don't know, a couple dozen, and initially, you know, the 30 feet wide or 50 feet wide, but now you start looking at it and you start seeing 3 of them are side by, you know, we're all together, and there's width there and stuff. So, and the other thing that's changed in recent years is that the town's now buying more properties that had houses on, that are waterfront that had houses on it. So the whole issue of access is different when you're looking at a piece of property that already has been half or 3/4 or a good % cleared, has driveways coming in. So we're going to be looking at them, since obviously you don't probably want access on everyone, but you obviously don't want to have no access. So, and they all terminate outside of Montauk, pretty much. They all terminate in trustee land. And we've been through this. Diana and I did a lot of work together on it, and some of them terminate in land that is filled with kayaks that Francis and I were talking about, and we've been through that before too at Louse Point in terms of, do you build racks, do you not build racks, do you have to change your beach law if you do things. So I just wanted to say that I think this is going to be a big project over the next, say, 8 months. I don't know exactly how long it's going to take, and some of the ones we're going to start on is up on Girard Drive. The new King property, which is in the very upper part. And then because of what you said about the kayaks, we'll start maybe taking a look also way down at the bottom. And also because of the controversy, the Olson property on Squaw Road, because there was controversy from the neighbors. So I think we want to take a look at that and try to maybe assuage some of that fear of some of the neighbors that were not planning to put docks in and things like that. But anyways, that's what I mainly was just to say, and probably want to coordinate with Jim and Tyler to when I know that there's a meeting where we're going to be discussing this, which probably a good proportion we will, that make sure one of them will be there to convey, you know, to sort of wear 2 hats at that meeting and such. So
Yeah, sorry I couldn't be at Thursday's meeting.
that's all right.
I'll be at the next one.
I thought it was this week.
That's all right. So that's basically just the little public service announcement, let's call it.
Okay.
Well, it's good news to hear. I mean, that you know, increasing in the buying out of coastal properties that are private.
Yeah, well, there's quite a
into
big
public land, because that's really the best way to deal with sea level rise and
Yeah,
in the long run.
Yeah, and say if you look at, and I didn't bring it, I can send it. I send it to the Nature Reserve Committee. You take a look now at the green spaces, the lots in green on a land planning map on Girard Drive, and it's not so much little polka dots anymore. There's large clumps. So it's time to start thinking about which clumps, if you get down to the beach, can you walk along the whole shore to get to other ones? Because obviously you don't want to cut access at every single place that it's green, but at the same time you want to have pretty much access to the whole shore if you can, you know, you get to it from one place or the other. I always enjoy working with the trustees because generally, as I've said here before, I never try to determine where the uplands ends and the trustee land. And we just try to find out if we can, you know, if you put kayak racks, I'm not so worried if they end up on trustee land or on town land, as long as everybody agrees to it. You know, that way you don't fight over where the dividing line is. And it's always worked out in the past to make sure that everybody's in agreement. And so I look forward to it because there's a lot of interesting properties to look at. And there's some tough philosophical issues about, say, the kayaks and how, if you go put racks in, do you have to change the trustee law by leaving them on the beach right in front? But at the same time, if you put racks in and tell everyone to get them off the beach, and you don't change the rule, why is somebody going to want to drag them 50 feet further to put them on the rack? So there are a couple of tough, there are actually a couple of issues there that really want trustee input on something like that. Yeah, that's it. And I'll sit around and, if you need any update that you don't know or Rick doesn't know on Beach Plum, I'll wait.
You're there, let's go.
You want me to go now?
Sure.
Okay. Well, the only thing I don't know how much you wanted to know how much, some people here are very well informed, some aren't.
seem to
I don't
get
know how
very-
much of the history you wanted, or just the very, very recent history.
Well, you seem to get a very quick reaction.
I did, and I think maybe that was because I included people like you to other elected officials. Yeah, so
So why don't you give a quick history?
okay, quick history, because Rick was very involved in this too. Subdivision at the eastern end of Napeague, oceanfront, 1989, and it's where Beach Plum Court is. The developer, and one of the things you should rest easy on, one of the things that is clear, or title's not a problem, well, it's not really title, but is that they recognize, not necessarily by name, that it's called Napeague Station Road, that's a trustee road from the highway down to the beach.
You got the name of the road right. Like that.
That's because I've been well educated by my constant vice chair. That is in the CC&Rs, that's recognized your right of passage. But there were 3 parcels in the subdivision, post the subdivision into 8 parcels. There were 3 parcels that were deeded to the town. One of them is a very large, big C shape. I can't remember if it's 17 acres for all 3 or 14 acres. It's 17 acres for that, but it's large, and it is about 1,400 feet of oceanfront. It wraps all the way around to the highway. And what's very different about this property compared to some of the others is that this basically is the dune. So that instead of having, say, as you have in some of the other subdivisions where you're currently in court, instead of having the lots going down to the grass line of the dunes or whatever, in this case, clearly the lots were northward of the dune, and this property sweeps all the way around and underneath. So it's a beautiful chunk and important, and it also would entirely encase Napeague Station Road, so that Napeague Station Road, besides its normal protection, would be doubly protected because it would be running through town land. Unfortunately, the town did not file the deed. And in between not filing the deed, the developers failed to pay.
They did file, right? It just took a long time. See the access road? Did it get recorded? But
Yeah, later. They didn't file the deed immediately. And about 9 months later, before they had filed the deed, the developers failed to pay on a mortgage. The person who held the mortgage came in, and I won't pronounce it right, but they filed what's called a Liz Pendens. Yeah. Basically, it said, anybody who hasn't made their claim yet, tough luck. And but that took several years to adjudicate. And in the meantime, the town, I think, without knowing any of that had happened, finally files the deed. And everybody believes the town owns the land. In fact, I can show cases where the utility companies came in later and they asked the town for the easement. You know, everyone assumed the town owns the land, and they're on file up in Riverhead as the owner. As far as best Rick and I know, somewhere around 2011, somebody noted, I think it was, we were told the county tells the town, we're not so sure you own that land. And they did a title search, and a quick, easy title search is going to show what they show up at the county, which if they think the town doesn't own the land. So anyways, the supervisor at that time held a public hearing to say, let's take it out of nature preserve. Oh, they've been made into nature preserves. That's how much we thought we owned the land. We're going to take them out of nature preserve and give them away. And Rick and I hit the roof, and and Rick pointed out very wisely that making them nature reserves was also putting forward our claim that we own them. So the worst thing you do is like retract from that. So we got up there, and David Buda did a lot of research too, and stopped that. But very little happened. We kept hearing we're going to move forward to quiet the title. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. So now I'm going to go fast forward. About 3 weeks ago, I get sent a realtor's advertisement of sale showing the lots going all the way through the nature preserve, all the way down to the beach line. And I say, this is exactly what I've been worried about all these years, that it's going to get forgotten or it's being done on purpose. I don't care. So it caught me at the wrong time. I just done too much exercise. It was low blood sugar, and I wrote a stronger letter than I might normally write to the town board and CC'd it to you and things like that, and said, you got to do something about this. And they did. And Larry, the very next day, said, I've instructed Mike Sinlensky, town attorney, to look into this immediately. According to Mike, just a few days later, so it's 2 Fridays ago now, Mike said that he contacted the attorney for the developer, because there still is some developer interest in the I guess not all they're not all entirely on resale yet. And the developer said, I'll re-sign a deed. And now, the only thing is, I've heard that before, and so that's the current. If all goes well, it's like too good to be true, but that would be, because it would be I don't want to talk too much. I've done a lot of legal research. I don't want to talk too much about what would be tricky, but it's kind of a trick. It is kind of a tricky issue, because when they reformed, even though it was the same people, it was technically a different organization ended up owning the property. So, are they under the same obligations? I don't know. So the point is, but we were told they don't want to litigate, and they, want to. I think what's right, since it was given to us before. We're not asking for anything more. So I think the thing is that maybe bringing people like you in was a big help. CC'ing it to you. I CC'd it to you. I CC'd it to CFAR. That either that or writing it after I had low blood sugar and I was in a tougher mood. I mean, I wasn't mean. I don't think I was just pretty forceful. And so I think you got to stay on top of it, though, because not necessarily from our town attorney as much as I've been through these things, and the other side can say, I'll get to it. 3 months later, he's saying, why didn't you get to it? And then 3 months later, it's, why didn't you get to it? And I think that's where also you can play a big role, because one of the things I said in my letter that concerns the trustees is, I think owning that property would pretty much eliminate any claim by the homeowners in that association, the actual beach based on the Benson deed. Because I believe this was still part of that Benson deed properties. And so I see in some ways an even stronger reason for owning it than 4 years ago, or 5 years ago now, it's getting to be 5 years ago, because if you own that, then clearly, whatever the outcome is of the case, you're gonna own the beach side, because you own immediately to the north, I would think. So, so that's the place where I think it also really comes in, and that and the road, I think, are two issues that should be of trustee concern. That's that.
Wow, great.
Nice update.
And I think Rick was maybe even the attorney for part of it at some part of it.
Beach Club part was approved, I think, in 1988. I became the planning board attorney in 1989. So I did review some of the documents, probably even the deed, because those were being, passed through the planning board in the aftermath of the subdivision.
So, and so I thank you for whatever you do, and we'll keep on this.
Well, thank you for being on top of it.
Thanks, Zach.
Thanks, Zach.
And I think I'm gonna go home because I just exercised and I look like.
Okay, thank you, Zach. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak?
Hey guys, Billy Mack, First Coastal. Just wanted to bring up Shoreline Fencing and see how we're doing with that, because now typically after hurricane season, we'll start reinstalling or installing fencing on dunes for a lot of customers, and I know you guys were in the process of redoing the permit application process.
Don't go very far. Well, we got to keep it up.
all right.
It's not about-
We can do it now.
On the agenda.
Yeah, you want me to deal with it now?
Sure.
Okay,
All right.
good, I'll stay here.
So I've been communicating with John Jolnicki. The town board has not yet discussed the shoreline fencing legislation or changing it. But he thinks now they will do that in the next couple of weeks, or they could do it in the next couple of weeks. I suggested that we should maybe, the most efficient way to do this is when the town board is going to discuss it, perhaps we should have someone from the trustees present, and I can be present as well. Because that way we can talk about it, right, then and there, instead of, otherwise it's liable to go back and forth, kind of like tennis ball. So whenever they, John was gonna get back to me some dates. I'm not gonna be in the office next week, so I didn't wanna, he was talking possibly maybe as early as next week, but I'm not gonna be around, so. After that, and so I guess what I'd like you guys to decide is what members, will want to be notified of that and be present.
The committee was me and Diane and,
Okay.
Francis, so.
Okay. I mean, I'll talk to John and find out when obviously we're gonna be subject to a town board work session discussion date, so it'll be, some Tuesday.
Okay.
That's the most expeditious way to move it forward. Actually have us present when they discuss it.
Yeah, it's been dragging.
Otherwise, you know what's gonna happen. It's gonna,
Right.
Yeah, I think we'd like to move it along if we can.
but anyway, it is, we're talking about having a date, but we can be present, they will discuss it, the town board will discuss it.
Right. But I think we were talking based on the current code, this board can still, if it wants to, amend or change the way we issue permits. So we can
On your end.
simplify it ourselves.
Okay.
So we had talked a
What
little
we're really
bit
trying
about-
to do
yeah.
is get something
Uniform.
that's uniform
Yes.
between the town and the trustees.
Yes, that would
That
be
makes
nice.
sense, obviously.
Yeah.
But the trustees do have flexibility even under the current code.
Right, I mean, if it's gonna take a couple more months to deal with the town, I understand, that could happen. Maybe if you guys could do something that would allow us to,
And bear in mind, it will take at least a couple of months, because
Yes.
even if and when we have an agreement on
gotta go public.
the text of a legislative change, that's got to be drafted, notice for public hearing, the public hearing held, and then adopted. So,
Okay.
Minimum, it's probably going to take 3 months to get the code
yeah,
changed.
I believe that. Well, if there's something you guys can do that I can work within the trustee bounds, as opposed to just the town bounds, that might be an option. That would be good. I don't know if that gives you a leeway to amend your current requirements.
Procedures, yeah.
Procedures. Yeah, to kind of streamline it, at least with you guys, that would be really helpful.
There's definitely room to do that, even with the current code.
Okay, cool.
So
That'd be great.
submit your applications, we'll see where they go.
Okay, well, I think there's already one or two in there, and they're kind of
The
stalled.
two that were.
Yeah, we're
yeah.
waiting on 2 letters.
Yeah.
One for the parcel, the gentleman that wants to put the fence on the Nature Conservancy parcel.
Right,
We need Nature Conservancy okay to approve that.
yep.
And the other one was to just clarify which of the 3 adjoining parcels, the right tax map number for where the fence is going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and as easy as that sounds, it's actually quite difficult to get those 2 things done. So, that's why, typically we would just go the modified way that we do it is, with a general permit that you guys had discussed earlier. I think that would alleviate the current requirements based on the existing.
But you know what?
Yeah.
I agree with Diane in the sense that if you've got a parcel that's got a management agreement with Nature Conservancy.
Yeah, we'd want to get them to sign off on,
It's just
absolutely.
one of those things. We wouldn't want to issue
Yeah.
you a permit. You think you've done everything right. Next thing, you've got the Nature Conservancy on you, and we're the next call.
Yeah, no, and specifically with relation to that
And I don't
topic,
think- don't
I
think
agree
any
with you
of
on
those
that.
I don't think any of those things are big deals, but it's like anything else, getting
Right.
somebody to answer the call, respond.
Yep.
write-
Yeah, get an
write a
answer.
quick-
Exactly.
Write a quick letter, get it.
Do you need any contacts over there? I mean, we know.
Yeah, no, and I've
Larry
reached
could
out to him,
give you a
so
contact.
we just have to continue that.
Okay.
But I think the other aspect was, there was a letter from, what was the other requirement that you needed for the permit
It
other
was,
than the?
just to clarify, between the survey we received and the application, which of those 3 adjoining parcels, because the tax map numbers were all
Yeah,
mixed up.
and I have to actually go over and sit with the surveyor to make sure that it's all makes sense.
Okay.
I'll have to do that. Yeah, well, it's not under the names that, they changed a couple of things, yeah. All right, I'll keep working on that one.
All right,
But
we're
good, and
working on our end.
Good, thank you very much. And then I think there's an Estelle, Eve Estelle.
Could we take a moment and talk about Estelle?
Sure.
Yeah.
Bill, I was looking at the permit applications going back to 3/8/11, and then another one in 2012, and actually, I'm a little confused, Diane. In one application or permit, it allows for the beach grass planting, and then in another one, it doesn't. Do you recall that? Or can I give you copies of it to look at?
Right. Well, I'm sure in one instance, they weren't going to be doing any planting, or simply
Oh,
what the
okay.
applicant wanted, yeah.
All right.
And both of those, I think, were probably just prior to the MacLeod decision,
Mm-hmm.
following which we issued like separate permits for the beach grass with the covenant and blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
But Estelle was not part, he never came back for beach grass.
As far as I could see, there was
Yeah.
never a permit
Yeah.
issued for the snow fencing. And I have a picture that went up apparently a number of years ago. So, I would say going forward, we want, to have you obviously comply like you have in the past, but this looks like one that may have fallen through the
Yeah,
crack.
I'm trying to remember exactly how that went, how that process went through, but that was right after Hurricane Sandy. The dune was rebuilt. I believe we did ask for beach grass and fencing, and at the time, the owners, or not particularly just this owner, but other property owners were requested to do a quitclaim deed, and none of the owners that I could talk to
Right.
were interested in doing that.
Right, but it's not a quitclaim deed. It's not what we were asking for. It's maybe what they thought it was. It's their impression of it, but it was simply, it was like a letter of understanding, a covenant, something that would say, you're gonna plant the beach grass, and we're not, but you're not gonna claim it as your private property.
Well,
Because that was the whole MacLeod issue.
Right, and that might be a little different from what was presented
Okay.
back then. As I remember
Okay.
Mr. Courtney
You know
mentioning the
what- You know
word
what's
quitclaim
interesting
deed.
too about this, the picture that we're passing around, it's not a reflection on you by any means, but over the years, that grass has come seaward now,
Yes.
quite a bit from the snow fence. You know,
It's a very healthy dune, I can tell you that.
yeah.
A lot healthier than it was after.
Oh, it is,
Hurricane
it is.
Sandy.
No,
Yeah,
it really took off.
yeah.
Could you tell, Brian, if all the conditions of the last permit that was issued, have they all been complied with?
As far as I can see, again, with the exception of the grass planting, because I think that was not part of that permit. It looked like it was taken out from 2011 versus 2012.
So the grass, fencing and grass was allowed in the first permit, and the second permit?
Fencing, I heard nothing about fencing.
Oh, okay.
No, no.
Okay.
So-
My sense
fencing.
is
Sand
because,
planting.
yeah, there was sand brought on.
Brought on, yeah.
And that all appeared to, be fine. It's an old application at this point.
Yeah.
I know that with this particular property, he's trying to get a final CO so he can get a rental permit. And this is holding up his CO for the rental permit. So we couldn't rent it this year, his house.
Well, I think that, going forward, and perhaps I'm being too lenient, I don't think so. I would say that, all the requirements are met. At this point, it looks healthy, it's doing what it's supposed to do, and I would make a motion to allow the homeowner to go forward with his CO, how we can help him out. But I just want to make one comment, and I'm echoing you, Bill. This process was a lot more arduous than it will be in the very near future. So I'm optimistic that, all the permits will be in order in the future. That's it.
Be happy to
Okay, well,
to do that.
there's a motion on the floor, I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
I am.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, anything I can do to streamline that process, I'm completely available to you guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. New business, beaches. We have a letter from Mr. Plavick in reference to Wainscott Beach. Dear trustees and harbor master, I appreciate your time and efforts that go into maintaining the incredible beaches and quality of life in East Hampton. I would like to draw your attention to an issue at Wainscott Beach off Beach Lane. The issue revolves around dogs and cleanup. Wainscott is no different than most beaches that allow dogs after 10 a.m. However, there's a huge amount of people who don't clean up after their dogs and just leave the feces on the beach. There's usually a marine patrol that comes by after 10 to make sure there are no dogs still off the leash, but it doesn't solve the issue of people not cleaning up after their dogs. I know this because I have a dog and go to the beach and see the issue constantly. Furthermore, when we come back in the afternoon with our kids to see other families, it is incredibly disturbing and unsanitary. I know you guys clean the beaches eventually, but this beach shouldn't have the reputation of the beach that people can come to and do whatever they want because there is no presence of enforcement of laws. This also applies to bonfires, as people regularly don't follow the code, and again, because it's difficult to be everywhere for patrol at once. This beach gets little patrol, and people do whatever they wish. I would like to raise the issue and possibly suggest either a ban of dogs on the beach if we don't enforce the rules, or enforce them more aggressively. Our beaches are incredible, and all of you do an incredible job of maintaining them, so why is the beach being treated this way? I look forward to hearing to your solutions and viewpoints.
A question, is there those dog poopy bags available at the end of the road?
I can't say for
Yes,
sure.
there are.
There are?
Yeah, I spoke to Mr.
Okay.
Plavnik earlier today, and
People have to police themselves.
he said that, it's very easy to clean up after your dog down there. There's plenty of resources, but he says he has quite a bit of documentation that shows that it's just not happening, that people are being very irresponsible on the beaches with both the dog matter and with bonfires. And he says he's got quite a library of photography. He wasn't able to come tonight. He'd like to come and share with us what's going on down there. And he's really asking for help to see that the current code is being enforced. And he said there's a real lack of enforcement and a lack of resources to clean up, and that people are just being very irresponsible. He was quite clear about everything, and he wants to come in and share more information with us, so.
Marine
I'd like to
Patrol.
support him in trying to get a little more.
All we can do is pass it along to the harbor masters.
Absolutely.
And they are down
And
there
they
a
are,
lot.
yeah.
There's a
Like,
regular
they can't be
group that
everywhere.
goes down there, because, I surf down there and surf cast down there, and there's a regular group of folks that do walk their dogs, and it's surprising, that you would have a regular group and still see so much lack of compliance. They would be kind of leaders, but
Number one, I'm not going to be watching any videos of dogs taking dumps. All right? People have to police themselves. The bags are there. We'll let Chief Michaels know. That's it. There's nothing more we can do.
It does speak to a larger issue, though, that, instead of just passing it on to the harbor master, really, maybe there is something we can do in here, in the middle of the waltz here before we just kind of pass it on. I mean, how can we really encourage people to take better care of our beaches and be, publicly minded and respect the public spaces more and really.
And this goes to the litter issue also.
Yeah, it speaks
it's
to
not
the
just
larger litter
dogs and
issue.
bonfires.
And the educational issue, sort of, and I guess some people feel like they can get away with whatever they want on a beach, especially if it's maybe on the edge of town like that and where that beach is, but.
Well, there's signage, with
Or just public places. that
with
belong to all of us.
regards to the fires
Yeah.
and what's required, i.e. the metal box and whatnot. If people are not, complying to the town code, then it's not us, it's the harbor master.
Yeah, I think it's the code
town
is fine,
police.
and it's not a matter of putting like more restrictions on people,
Right.
but enforcing the ones that are there and making sure people are following them.
And they could be
Make sure
visitors,
People are being responsible.
would be my guess. They're probably not locals.
Yeah, well,
I think
who knows?
that-
I don't know,
I think
Yeah.
Diane's
always been a beach where people
suggestion
go
of
to party.
contacting Ed Michaels, see if maybe he can show a little more discipline of,
Yeah, that's definitely great.
catching a
Good
couple of
first step.
people down there.
Yeah.
Right.
We have, it just shows that we're no different than any other board. We're hearing it from one end of East Hampton to the other.
Yeah, I want to do
It
something. I don't
takes
want to
its
just pass it on,
turn.
How about?
No, I'm not minimizing that, I'm not finished
saying.
here. There's dogs, major problem. Garbage, huge. Business activities going on, and fires. 4 things that I can think of, and they all need a solution. So if we could join with the town board and come up with a miracle, it would be good, but short of that, come up with any kind of, and of course, what you'd said, Marine Patrol, that's where it starts.
Well, if they
They
can.
have a finite
if Ed
number of
can-
people.
I understand that, but you know what, if you know you got a particular problem down there, it's no different than when somebody, like in Montauk, somebody complains, people are speeding on Second House Road. Okay, what is the town police solution? They sit a cop on Second House Road for a while. He writes some tickets. Okay, sometimes I might be the one that's speeding on Second House Road. Well, if I see somebody getting a ticket, I am going to make a conscious effort to slow down. I think it's the same thing with the dog crap on the beach. I mean, if a couple of tickets get written or a couple warnings get made, let's face it, it's mostly the same people walking their dogs down there. Okay, well, I guess I got to pick up the bags, or pick up the dog crap.
Yeah,
I
enforcement is the
think-
key. Yeah, there are laws
you
not
know
being
what?
enforced enough, so people aren't
You don't have
following
to
them.
brutalize people over it. You just guide them in the right direction and hope that it works.
Seems as though one beach, the problem gets solved.
Yeah,
And it
well,
picks up on the next
No, but it's an
beach.
ongoing, can I tell you,
It
it's
is,
an
it's
ongoing,
forever.
it's an
It's
ongoing thing, and you know
ongoing.
what, it's not that it gets solved or doesn't get solved. You get individuals become very aware of this. Maybe they stepped in a little dog crap. Maybe they stuck their hand in a little dog crap. I don't know. But suddenly they become very aware of what the dogs are doing, and they highlight it, and you address it, and ultimately you get a little better compliance. I don't know that we need to spend all night talking about dog crap on the beach.
I don't want to talk about dog crap, but
No,
talk
I'm
about
thinking-
litter itself.
In May of next year, I wouldn't be opposed to the trustees spending a little money and putting in an advertisement, just reminding people.
That's a great idea.
What the requirements are, and that would probably
That is
help.
actually a
That signage that
that is
we
actually a
talked about
great
putting
idea.
It's not a
on.
lot of money, a couple $100.
Can we make that an emotion? Can you make that a
Well,
motion?
you gotta say something.
Yeah, we have more to talk about here too. I think. I have a lot to say.
I want to add to the motion. I was going to say, Tyler, we can work with the Natural Resources Department, who's been printing out the beach vehicle brochure,
Okay.
which is given to people as they come in to get their permits, et cetera. It's available in all the town offices, but anyway, it's basically been designed specifically to be informational about the rules, but if we put a new educational spin on it and try to elicit some of that respect
Yep.
for
And
our beaches, we
I'd
could
like
do
to
that.
make a message or a suggestion that you get that brochure and you do it in the form of a mitt.
For picking up piles?
That you can reuse the brochure when you take your dog down on the beach. I think it'll actually get more attention. People become much more aware. And when you start to see those brochures at the beaches in the
We have a
parks,
litter problem.
you'll know, that people are getting the message. It's a way of testing the success of your campaign.
Disposable glove.
Well, the
inside
number
the
one
brochure.
message that I'd want to get out to people about our beaches is that, beaches should be carry in, carry out. If you bring something to the beach, you should bring it off with you. Anything you bring to the beach should come back with you. So that can be one message that I think is really quick and clear and can be on any kind of educational pamphlet
Yep.
that the town has that has to do with beaches. If we can
Right.
work with whatever agencies are putting those pamphlets together and make sure
Right.
that that's one thing that's highlighted in there.
Mm-hmm.
No idling your cars at beach ends, maybe. That's another good thing to educate people about.
Just came up with an idea.
But I don't want to have,
Draw on
we
your
want to
picture.
avoid putting more signs on the beach roads. We already
Yeah, it's-
discussed how
this is
many
where it's
signs
going.
we
No,
have.
can I tell you, if you got fingers in the mitt, it's going to squeeze out.
No.
Keep it as a mitt.
John Ryan was just up here, he talked about the sign. It's a picture. It's not a bunch of words, and it's a nice-looking sign. We talked early in the season, what are we gonna do with all this stuff we've got written? It's written, it's written and
You can't see
written.
the ocean.
Make a tower. Make it a tower of pictures, like the ugly picture with the garbage overflowing. That was a horrible picture in the store, yeah.
Very
And
eye-opening, yeah.
people do this, I can't believe it. Now, you can just, your mitt would be a good idea.
Well, you know what? Do it in silhouette. Don't do these, like,
No,
color
not-
glossies. Do the silhouette. You can
Photograph.
have the dog,
No, jeez, Jim.
and you can have the man with the mitt. And, the only writing that you see is the fact that it says the East
I
Hampton.
think we're getting tired.
Okay,
I
okay.
think we've taken
And the
this as far
fire
as it
and
really ever
the
should have gone.
businesses.
We have a winter
serious.
project here to work on educating the public.
Thank you, thank
Absolutely.
you,
Okay?
Yeah.
All
thank
right.
you.
There's another option that I've been thinking of that I want to bring up tonight, which is on this exact same subject. The state of the beaches as far as litter is concerned is bad. I mean, people aren't, disposing of everything they bring to the beach, and there are small pieces of garbage stuck in the beach. There's large pieces of garbage. There's garbage piled up at road ends. There's garbage piled up at trash cans on the beach.
After
There's-
parties.
yeah. And, there are beaches. We own these beaches on behalf of the public, and there's no reason why we can't, kind of get out there and do some of it ourselves or work with the public more to help protect our beaches together. So I came up with the idea that perhaps the Beaches Committee, or whoever wants to, could work together to organize, and I already have a going list here, but of kind of our own beach holdings that we could organize public cleanups. We would facilitate the cleanup, organize volunteers, get bags, mitts, whatever else we need, rakes, anything, get the equipment provided for the community so people can come together, and we'd have kind of a rotating schedule throughout the year that would hit various trustee beaches in the area. We'd organize the cleanup, we'd get the volunteers, we'd get the people in, get all the equipment, and all we need is some members of the public to show up, help us out, and just clean up one beach at a time throughout the year. So I have about 8 different beaches that I've then, looked
Well,
around the
right.
trustee lands.
What we had done in the past, 2 years in a row, we actually coordinated with National Earth Day, and we just got the orange bags from the town, and we just put out like a notice to the public, radio, papers, whatever. This is the day to be beach cleanup. come get your bags at the trustee office, or we'll leave a few at each road end. Trustee or somebody can be there, and the truck will make a loop and pick up all the bags at the end of the day. Just leave them at the road end, and we'll come pick them up. So that was
And did it
not
work
a
out
lot
well?
of
Did
work.
you get a
It
good
worked-
turnout?
we're-
We got a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
All right, I mean,
yeah,
that's,
so that was a little easier.
that's great, that's what we need.
Yeah.
It's along the
It's
same
doable.
lines.
It's
of what you're
doable,
talking about.
definitely
Yeah, no,
doable.
you know, it's,
Yeah.
we're a public body, we're, with the public, we're working together to
It
try to
gets
protect
it
these
done, but
beaches.
you know what?
There's an
And this
educational
may
component needed
sound
too.
real simple, and I
Okay.
don't mean to, because this is a horrible situation as far as I'm concerned. But, for instance, your kids, they don't clean the dirty clothes up off the floor in their room. They'd rather just pile them up. So if you go clean them up for them, what does that do? The next day, they'll throw them there again.
I know, it's
Really,
definitely part of the
somehow we
issue.
have to get, this winter, we've got to solve this. We're right back.
Well, I don't know,
Right back to this.
Pat, I don't know, though, that you ever really solve some of these things. When you make the comments about litter on the beach, okay, if there's litter on the beach, well, ask yourself, how does the litter come to get there? Is it a case where, is there a lack of receptacles to dispose of this material? Is there a shortage in the number of trips that are made to cover this? Now, the village, if you notice the village beaches, I get in there and check it out. It's actually really good. They do a very efficient job of staying on top of the facts that they need to hit those beaches, whatever, a couple times a day. And, let's face it, the beaches are a resource here. They're much like a public restroom. They need to be cleaned. They need to be serviced commensurate with the amount of use that they're getting. So I think in some cases, the litter issue and the garbage issues, it isn't all, but part of it where a more frequent pickup needs to occur, or better locations of the garbage facilities and that. Make it as easy for people to dispose of their garbage as you
Some of
can.
this garbage comes from home in
Yeah.
plastic bags.
Well, I'll tell you what, what the deal is, hey, talk to anybody that pays to have a dumpster at their business in this town. You've got people, and you can blame it on the renters. You can say, oh, it's these friggin' people that are renting houses. Unfortunately, it's not. There's a significant number of people in this community that have summer homes that say, I ain't paying a garbage guy to take my crap away. What I'm gonna do is every Sunday, I'm going to basically cruise through town like I'm ready to rob a place, and I'm going to make my wife get out of the car and throw the garbage in somebody's dumpster. And it's a pain in the ass. I don't know what the solution is.
The worst spot where that happens is
If
the
you're a-
head of Georgia Pond, the kayak launch there, those
If you're a
two.
build-
I
If
hate
you're
driving by
a
there and seeing
building
garbage.
contractor in town, standard rule, building contractors, you usually used to like to have your dumpster dumped like on a Friday, because you don't want the client coming out and seeing the dumpster full on the weekend. Nobody does that anymore. What you do is you wait until Monday, because you want that dumpster full. You want it covered so nobody can fit anything into it. Because if you have an empty dumpster on a job site, Monday it's full, because everybody in that neighborhood has gone over and thrown their garbage.
Yeah, so garbage cans attract garbage, essentially.
Well,
You put a
in this
garbage can
case,
out, and
no,
people are
it
gonna put
attracts,
garbage in. Yeah.
unfortunately, it attracts somebody who's just looking to skip out on paying somebody.
Yeah, I'm aware. I
to
see it
dump stuff.
everywhere.
There is somewhat of a solution. In some communities, what they do is you walk into the local grocery store, okay? Like, we have a place in Ireland, and nobody wants to pay to have their garbage picked up because you're not there often enough. But you go to the grocery store and you ask for the green bags. And what the green bags are, it's a bag that you're paying for the pickup when you buy the bag. You're paying like $7 a bag. And on Wednesdays, the local garbage company comes around and picks up the green bags. And what it basically does, it makes it really, really easy for the person that's not around enough to really feel like it makes it worth paying whatever the monthly charge is on picking the garbage up. And it does work pretty good, because, you go by and you take a ride down the road on Wednesday, all of these vacation homes that may be like weekend rentals and stuff, they all have their green bags out. They're all ready to be picked
That's
up.
not going to help us on the beaches.
Well, actually, it could inadvertently help you on the beaches and like on Main Street in Amagansett and Montauk and Wainscott and stuff like that, where if you haven't noticed, those garbage cans get filled up. And what's in them? It's not people putting their Dixie cups or something in there. It's household garbage that people are dropping off. It may, you know, if you maybe talk to Mickey's or some of the other garbage companies, if they'd be interested in getting involved in this. The nice thing is, if you're the garbage company, the guy that's bought 5 bags and he's only used 4 of them, well, somebody's getting paid for these bags, you know? It's like
Southampton
getting a
does
gift
something
certificate
similar to
that you
that.
never actually use, you know? The business has the benefit of having that revenue without ever having supplied a product or a service for it.
Sure. So that's a great system that could be one aspect of solving
Could
this
be
problem.
it could be a layer, you know, kind of a layer of stuff in
I
there.
think my point here is that, you know, we own beaches, and like you said, you know, they're public beaches. We're managing them for the public, and we should be out there doing something with the public to take care of our own beaches together. You know, I think it's a nice
George,
idea.
did you have something?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that for the past 2 years in the spring, the residents of Lazy Point have an organized beach cleanup. Not only the beaches, but all the roads, all the way out to the towers.
Oh, I'm aware.
And that's all coordinated with Del Colo.
Yeah, it's great. Now, I talked to Dell about this, you know, about this idea.
Very successful.
He's into it too.
Tons of stuff that we can
It's great. And we'd love to, you know, come help you out there. I have Lazy Point and Nappy Harbor on my list of beaches here that we want to hit. I guess my main concern is that we own a lot of beaches. And it's tough to, you know, really design a schedule. I mean, if we have 8 or so beach cleanups throughout a year and want to do 1 a month, I mean, that's 8 months of the year, and not all those months are really even that good of time to be getting out there on the
Realistically, you
beach.
should hit them twice a year.
So I intend to keep working on this and draft up something for next meeting. If anybody else wants to, from the beach
You know what you may be able to
is
do?
supportive of this idea and wants to help me out here.
Well, no, I think it's a good idea, but you know what maybe you think about doing is sort of like we do with the nature preserves, and that is a lot of these beaches are very much frequented by individuals. Maybe some of those individuals want to organize a stewardship program on there where it doesn't fall on you.
Right.
You know, they can actually help us out.
The beach program?
And adopt a beach program, yeah.
That's not a bad idea.
And a lot of these communities around there, there's homeowner organizations, much like Lazy Pointer, that they could probably do a better job than we could ever do.
I think an educational component's really important too, you know, because like Pat said, you know, you don't want to just take care of it for everybody, or else people feel like, oh, someone's going to come take care of this. So I want to make sure we're involving the public and engaging them in it too, and educating some people to come out here. So putting some more carry in, carry out info and some pamphlets, if you can work with natural resources, sounds good. And then we'll explore other strategies, you know, over the winter for next summer too. I don't know if anyone feels like we could have at least one beach cleanup in the fall here before the winter comes. I wouldn't mind being there, doing it if some more people will come.
Keep working on it.
All right.
Set it up.
Why don't you send an email to everybody, pick one, send an email, see if we
Okay.
can.
Sounds good. All right, I think that's it for that.
Okay.
I'm not going to make a motion on anything tonight because we don't really have
No, you
nothing to, yeah.
need a more complete plan.
Yes.
Okay. Great. All right.
Put the garbage in the bag. Tank the zip tie like that, done.
All right, it was brought to my attention that there was a court decision against Southampton which states that they are subject to secret. So Rick wanted to talk about that with us.
Yeah. Well, this isn't even a particularly new court decision. This is something that Tony Toho brought to my attention a couple weeks ago. It actually goes back to 2009. The decision was in 2010. Back at that time, there was a very live dispute with a marina restaurant in Hampton Bays or Quogue. I'm not quite sure. I think it was on Shinnecock Bay. I think it was the Quogue area. Called Dockers. There's a restaurant with a small marina called Dockers. They were looking to expand it, add slips, do some additional dredging. The Southampton Town Trustees approved that project. but they did no secret review. So Peconic Baykeeper brought a law, and of course, the trustees did no secret review because they said, well, we don't have to do secret review. So Peconic Baykeeper brought an action. It was heard in Supreme Court. Apparently, it was never appealed, so the only decision is at the state Supreme Court level. But Justice John J.J. Jones, who's a longstanding Supreme Court justice, rendered this decision. I don't know if it's been circulated. I'm not sure I sent it, but I don't know if you have it. In any event, his finding was that the trustees in Southampton are an agency, as that term is defined in the secret regulations, and therefore they must do secret. And if you read the decision, frankly, it's perfectly applicable to us. The East Hampton Town Trustees have never done secret. We've
Yes,
never.
we have.
Have you? Well, actually, that's right. You have. We did it on Gerard Drive, I know that. But we haven't been doing it regularly.
No.
And, all agencies, planning board, town board, whatever, almost everything they do, there's a secret part of the resolution. You're supposed to make either a negative or a positive declaration. A positive declaration, of course, would be a DIS. Those don't happen very frequently. Sometimes actions are type 2 actions. In other words, they are exempt from secret. You can even create your own list of type 2 actions. Now, you have to be very cautious about that. You can't put things on the type 2 list that might really have environmental impacts, but there's a lot of fairly routine things that are done that are probably eligible for type 2. Bottom line is, now I know about the Dockers case, we really do need to start to comply with secret. And we should be incorporating that into our processes on a regular basis. And look, there'll be times from time to time where we're going to need some sort of we'll have to do an EAF with a written statement of why we made a particular decision. We got to decide who's going to be writing that and all that stuff. But we have to first of all decide that we're going to do this, and then secondly, we have to establish procedures by which we would comply.
Okay, can I?
Yeah.
Okay. So, many years ago, the trustees had gone through this and we had discussed it. We actually came up with the trustees' environmental review permit. And in that document, it was the trustees would agree to recognize the fact that secret review should be done, and we would do that. I think the flip side was that this dual review we now have between the ZBA and the trustees with waterfront, that would be no more. So if we could work with the town to say, the ZBA is out of the picture if we're dealing with a waterfront project it's strictly within our jurisdiction, which I think is going to be difficult to get agreement to. Anyway, it was adopted in October and November, and then the town board that took office in January rescinded it. So we never did actually have a chance to even try to implement it, but we have on 2 occasions, I think, decided to be lead agency in review of applications, and we've gone through the secret process. To tell you the truth, people, I find it the most complicated, ridiculous review. What we do as trustees, as the owners of the land, that we can say no. As elected officials, as trustees to represent these properties and act in their best interest, we can say no. And you don't have to justify it.
The issue here was the town trustees said yes.
And someone, right.
And
So
somebody
what I would do
found-
is like, and I can't help it, I tried to open the court case and it just wouldn't open on my computer, so I didn't get a chance to read it. But I would like an opportunity to do that. I think we should also review the history of the trustees' environmental review permit and speak with John Courtney, who was our attorney at the time, and just get some history and get some background on this.
I was in the town jury. I actually wrote the trustee environmental
Okay.
resources.
Well, there we go. Good.
legislation.
Okay.
Both the adoption
Yeah.
for legislation and then the unadoption
Oh, okay.
legislation
Okay.
after the town board changed
Okay. But anyway,
political
the,
procedure over the.
what secret does too is it puts a time limit on your actions. You know, if you make a decision, it's a type 1 or type 2, you've got so many weeks or months, you've got to have the next thing done. And you see how things can go with us. It can go back and forth between people. I found that whole process very difficult, because we've had times where we can work with an applicant, and we've taken, up to 11 months to work with a dock owner who wanted to enlarge his dock, and we said, no, you can't, you know. Anyway, come up with a compromise, so nobody winds up in court, but both sides get something that they can agree with. If we were doing secret review.
Secret allows for all that, and unless you get into the actual environment, unless you get into an actual environmental impact statement, secret does not have hard timing rules.
I think it
Once you get into DIS,
Wilder?
it's different, but
Yeah.
but the general rule, declaring lead agency, making a classification of the action, and then making a negative or positive declaration, those are all, they do it at your time schedule.
It is a process put out by New York State, and it works. And it includes every department we have and every board that we have. And we've been here, this is our 9th month. And frankly, to me, and at times I thought, no, I'm just going overboard, relax, go with the flow. Make a motion, second it. It's in the minutes, but it's not, it doesn't show anywhere. This is what I want. This is coming from me. I want motions, I want a separate, and I'm willing to do it, folder for every motion. And they're all in the minutes, or a separate little tally can be kept at a meeting, whatever. Every time, who first did it, who seconded it. And that's all, and what it was all about. Separately from the minutes. That way, when you need, this will, let me.
You had all the resolutions.
I've talked to you recently about it, and I'm more than willing to do it. Keep it in a separate file. But the thing is, what we do affects every other board in town. And if you don't believe me on that, let us get sued. And you'll see that they will it'll go right to the town board. If we do any of these things improperly, or slipshod, or half-assed, the town board will get sued along with us. Rick, am I right?
Well, you'll get sued, that's for sure. Whether the town board gets sued depends on whether the town is also, part of that particular
Right.
action.
This is me, I want to do things properly. And it involves more paperwork, more process, but we're covered. And it does allow time to think about.
Rick, you've got some stuff on secret that was done prior to this. Why don't we bring that in?
Stuff on secret.
Yeah, we talked about that this year.
You just did this environmental impact statement. Why don't you, this environmental thing?
Well, let me just clarify that. In the late 1990s, remember there was a political change in the town board. Late 1990s, there were a proposal, as Diane said, to enact what was called the Trustee Environmental Resources Permit. That was the name of it, also known as TERP for some people, Trustee Environmental Resources Permit. And Diane's correct. It would have taken, for projects within trustee jurisdiction, let's say you're building a bulkhead or a dock in 3 Mile Harbor, or you were doing something on the beaches, okay? It was things in the water on the beaches, by and large, or on a bluff face. If those were trusted, and the way we did it is the trustees didn't have to prove ownership. It was if it wasn't in Montauk, it would be subject to trustee control. So basically, the trustees were taking over part of the natural resources special permit work that the zoning board now does. However, that's distinct from SECRA. I think the trustees realized at the time, geez, if we're going to start issuing regular permits like natural resources special permits like the zoning board does, we're not going to be able to dodge the SECRA question anymore, and we will definitely have to do it. But I must point out they are two completely separate things. Doing SECRA is an independent obligation that has nothing to do with whether or not we are issuing trustee environmental resource permits. Mind you, it only, in a given night, let's say, for example, tonight, I'm not even sure that we're taking any actions. Maybe we'll see at the end of the night. There's not that many actions that we take in a particular, where we actually make a formal decision. Are we issuing any permits tonight? I don't know, maybe there's later on the agenda, but when we do take an action, when we do, issue an approval or do something formal, we're supposed to conduct SECRA. And if you read the decision, there's no way around it. I mean, you read the reasons what the judge, and it's not a long decision, it's only a 2-page decision. But if the judge says, It has been asserted by the respondents, that was the trustees, that the trustees are not an agency subject to the provisions of SECRA because they are an independent proprietary entity that derives its autonomy from colonial patents and not from the state. But then he goes on to rebut that position and points out that in addition, while it's not disputed that the trustees are a proprietary entity, vested with title to certain lands and waters derived from the Dongan patent of 1686, because the Southampton Dongan patent is the same year as ours. The trustees also serve as a body politic with the right to legislate and control its property within its jurisdiction. And goes on and gives other examples. And bottom line is, state SECRA legislation was intended to apply to all public bodies, even public authorities and all kinds of other oddball entities that, aren't really completely, if you're the MTA, or if you're the state turnpike authority, or you're
Suffolk
the
County
Tribal
Water
Bridge
Authority, for instance. Right.
you got to deal with SECRA, even though you may be so it applies to anything that could be considered a public body in New York State. You're an elected public body. There's no way around it.
When we take that oath, we swear to uphold the laws and the rules and the regulations, town, county, state, federal, that's all part of it.
Right.
When you have an elected body like this and the membership can change continually, how do you keep this SECRA review uniform?
Well, I think, your attorney needs to know the process. Probably Lori needs to know it. The real question is, there is some, if you will, grunt work associated with the generation of the AFs and so forth. We have to figure out who's going to do that. All right? I mean, maybe we can get assistance from the planning department on that. It's not going to be the individual members of the board. It's no different from the planning board. The planning board members don't do their own SECRA review. The zoning board doesn't do its own SECRA review. Remember, a lot of what the zoning board does, by the way, is exempt from SECRA, because every time they're dealing with a single-family house, that's a type 2 action. It's exempt from SECRA. So, there are a lot of things that are exempt, and you can even add certain routine things, but there will be, from time to time, we'll be doing things that are not exempt, and we should be doing SECRA. And we do need to figure out how we're going to do it, and who's going to do some of the paperwork associated with it.
Mm-hmm.
Would shoreline fencing be something that we could ever put it in the type 2 list?
I would imagine to put shoreline fencing in the type 2 list. I would.
And that might be a good thing to cut your teeth on.
Well, type
It's
2
gonna be
list,
simple.
well, but yes, I would write the route, if you guys want to drop the regulation or whatever we want to call it, that says, here's our type 2 list, and you can adopt this by resolution. You could adopt a secret type 2 list. We discussed what should be on there. But, for example, type 2, just for those who are not completely familiar with secret terminology, a type 2 action is an action that is exempt from secret review because it's a class of actions that in general is considered to be so nondescript and inconsequential that it just doesn't have major environmental impacts. And by the way, under state law, construction of a single-family house and permitting associated with it is on the state type 2 list. So can you put shoreline fencing permits on the type 2 list? Absolutely. So you won't be doing it that often, but there will be times you'll be doing secret.
And then there are negative declarations and positive declarations. It's involved.
They'll be coordinated. There'll be times when you guys are involved in a permit process when another agency is involved in the permitting process. It could be the town board, could be someone else. You got to decide who's going to be the lead agency on this.
But you wind up working together.
Right. Well, so we need to begin this dialogue because we really shouldn't be putting it off any longer. Eventually, it's going to come and bite us.
What we need, I think, as a board is to, and Jim, I think that's what you're over there making a funny face about, isn't it?
making a funny
We need, yes, you are. We need to see the paperwork. We need to see what this really is.
You guys need to tell me that we have to do this, and then I'll have to start to think about what
I
this will
absolutely
entail.
agree.
And then,
We do.
we may see if we have to, how we're going to do it.
I'm for it.
I'm
Sounds like
against
it's
it.
unavoidable.
You got to read the decision. Though.
Never read secret
Really
first.
doesn't give us an out.
Yeah.
I think each of us needs to read what secret is. and
That's what I'm saying.
What our
The packet, the
what our
paperwork.
responsibilities are. And then we can have a more informed discussion about that.
And I can get that. There are handouts, state produces handouts on secret, basic, or, real basic, what is secret stuff. So I'll see if I can find that, and I can distribute that.
The one who should be the most concerned here is Lori.
Lori will have to read the secret handbook.
This should scare her.
All right, so this is going to stay on the agenda until it's resolved.
Okay.
All right. Next is, this is kind of a walk-on because we left it out accidentally. Cranberry Hole Road in Old Montauk. A trustee road being encroached.
There are trustee roads and then there are trustee roads. The Old Montauk Highway in Nappy is indisputably a town trustee road. I've noticed recently there is construction. There's a house on the south side of Cranberry Hole Road. There's been a house there for a long time, but there's construction activity going on right now, and they've completely relocated their driveway. And their driveway right now is coming out onto Cranberry Hole Road, pretty much where the Old Montauk Highway goes in. So I don't know whose committee on roads.
Who's on the roads committee?
Might want to take a look at that.
You are?
Yeah, I'll stop down there tomorrow. I
You
know
got a
there's
project.
3 houses that are relatively new along the south side of Cranberry Hole Road as you go over the railroad track
This one
bridge.
is the first one over the railroad tracks. There's one lot right over the railroad tracks. Now, I haven't looked that closely. I don't think that the house, there's been a house.
I mean,
for a long
right off the
time.
highway, or right off the highway, or the old railroad?
Well, when you go over the Cranberry Hill Road Railroad Trestle,
Yes.
Start
the
looking
other
on your
side of
right.
it, on Cranberry Hill Road, on your right, there is and has been a house on that lot. It's kind of a long, narrow lot, parallel to Cranberry Hill Road. I honestly have not really paid close attention to what they're doing in the house, but they took their driveway access point, which was much closer to the railroad trestle, and they've shifted it far, far further east on the property. And it's coming out basically where the old Montauk Highway goes in.
That's Old Montauk Highway, that cut that goes in and kind of hooks
Goes
up.
down into Nappy State Park, and then
Yeah,
heads east,
kind of ends
parallel
up
to the
hooking
railroad
in-
tracks, if you
Yeah,
will.
ends up hooking into like the power line.
Yes, it is the old power line.
Yes. Well, isn't the power lines in a different
Yeah,
place?
I've
The
been
power
around
line
on
road is-
horseback. It's like a roller coaster.
Well, not in that area. Now, that's flat. Once you get out to
That's when you
Nappy.
get up there, but this one is the entrance to it.
Well, if you're in there, the power line road, where the power lines are no longer, by the way, the power lines are now under under Route 27. They were moved 15 to 20 years ago, or more. But the old power line road is there north of and parallel to the railroad tracks. North of that is the old Montauk Highway, which was the route to Montauk, is still owned by the trustees. If you look on the tax map, it's much better, easier to understand. Runs through Nappy State Park, basically.
So the implications of this is that you can no longer go from one end to the other because a home and a driveway has been.
Not
No,
the
no,
home,
no,
the
they didn't
driveway.
obstruct it, but they're doing work.
It
that's
is
within the
not?
Right of way, which in the road, and it's somewhat obstructed, I guess. They're putting gravel down on what appears to be your
Well,
land.
that's
So they're using
your whole point.
Trustee Road as their driveway now.
And in part, they're like right at the edge, right there.
Okay, so let's find out where.
So I think someone needs to look at the application survey.
What the trustees did years and years ago.
Look at the survey of that property.
That's what I would see. So look at the survey in the building department and see where they're proposing to do work, because they're doing work within some of your roads.
What the trustees did years and years and years ago, not that many years ago, when I was on planning board, is they would reroute the road.
I'm going to reroute the old Montauk Highway.
Yes, they did. Well, no, but I mean, that's what they did
This is
on
the old,
people's
this is a-
properties.
This is a pretty historic road here.
So you're gonna make the person move their driveway then? You got one or the
I think you
other.
need to look at it.
Let's go look at it first.
Report back.
You don't have to have a street address number or anything, do you?
Yeah, I have the GIS.
It's the easternmost house on here, I think, isn't it?
Yes, first on the right over the bridge.
First one or the last? There's 3 of them there now.
There's 3 of them?
If you're
You
heading,
know
There's
the,
one under
you know,
construction now, a new one.
Trying to see, I'm gonna have him looking at a map right here, and
Oh, I'll tell you in a second.
find it.
close your eyes and think about it. You're going over the old bridge.
Okay.
You've gone over it. It's right
I know
there
what
on
you're
the right.
talking about. I just never knew that was.
New house being
Yeah, that
constructed.
goes
That's
down there.
right being-
Yeah.
Learned something
I'll take a look at it. I think I know the area you mean. I'll go check it out.
Some great orchids.
74
there anyway.
Cranberry Hill Road. 74.
Thank you, Rick.
Onward. Please.
Christian soldier.
Okay, old business, we already did the shoreline fencing. Middle highway deed. What do we,
Well, I can give an update on that briefly.
All
Similar to the shoreline fencing thing, I've talked to John about this, and there's a little unclarity, and I wasn't completely sure what you'd agree to do. Middle Highway, there are 2 sections that are unopened, okay? Then there are 2 other sections where someone is using it for driveway use. The northern one is from like Jody's Path south. That's the very long one where the guy's got the private driveway sign. There it's open only as a driveway, and then south of that it's unopened. And then further south, down near Diane Drive, north of Diane Drive, another section heading northward where it's being used as a driveway. I think that John Jalicki's idea is that you want to only retain the sections of the road that are truly unopened, but I wasn't sure about that. In any event, here's what I'm going to suggest. Similar to the shoreline fencing thing, it seems like the most expeditious way of doing this is when the town board discusses this, which John will set up for them to discuss, could we have representatives of the trustees there so we can, look at the aerial photographs and decide, we want to have control on this, we want to keep ownership of this, we don't want ownership of that, or you guys can have ownership of that. I certainly think the roads that are, the portions that are unopened, you should retain. The portions that are driveways, you got to decide that. And the portions that are really roads, of course, I think that should go to the highway system.
Okay,
Well-
this would be done at a work session?
It sounds like it'd be done in a
So
work
that's
session.
Tuesday morning,
Yeah.
okay.
I can make that.
But a decision has to be made among us, the stand
This
that the
Tuesday morning?
person is going to take.
No, it hasn't
Not,
been set up
to
yet.
but yeah, I don't know, you might want to discuss how you want to, I'm familiar with the road, I can go the whole thing, but if you don't have you need the aerials in front of you to really understand it fully.
Rick, this is what I want to do. I'll say it once and it'll be all over with. Even the portions that have never been opened, definitely I'd like to see them taken back by the trustees. The portions that have a driveway on them, I would like them to be taken back, but
And
the
we give them-
driveway can
and we
stay there
give-
forever.
Yeah, but we give them
They
an
would-
easement.
Yes.
Okay,
access.
and define.
Yes.
Define in that
Exactly.
easement what activities can go on
But they're
there.
not going to get the town services with that.
No.
Yes,
No.
and why
Yeah.
should they? They're using it as a private drive.
But I thought the whole idea of the town taking these roads was so that they could get those services.
Well, first of all, there's the northerly one, the northerly driveway.
Hey, Francis.
They're
the guy
maintaining their own
puts a
driveway.
Private drive.
Yeah.
If he puts a friggin' sign out at the end of his private drive that it's a private
Mm-hmm.
drive, he shouldn't be expecting.
No, but this was something that was started, how many years ago?
And it was
And
in
it
good
just
faith.
was never filed.
Yeah,
They
so
built the
okay, so
driveway
this is the
thinking it was
point, we
theirs.
update it and sort of finalize it for the time being. And if there's some reason down the road to revisit it, well, at least now it's all settled and
So is there somebody there who has that sign, private drive?
I don't know. This is-
Yeah, the one, the
No,
northerly,
this is a
the one
lawsuit.
south of
Create a
Jody's Path.
lawsuit.
I don't think that guy's expecting the town to be paving, to be snow plowing.
Yeah,
his
he would
driveway.
probably rather not.
No,
Right.
probably doesn't want it.
But it does seem those sections that are improved are being maintained by the town to access all those private homes. The sections that are currently unimproved aren't necessary for any, there's no more lots to be developed, that they would need to be accepted by the town and be improved to that level. So we're not harming or.
I think it's a good time, I
No,
think it's a
yeah.
good time to step into this.
Let me, if I can, let me explain this. 4 different categories, if you will. There are sections of Middle Highway that are fully paved, like, for example, on the west side of Whalebone Woods.
So they go to the town.
There are sections, open and paved. I know, it's like north of Oakview Highway for quite a ways. There are 2 sections that are fully open and are dirt, and are through, not dead-end driveways, but through, they're open, they're dirt. Then there are 2 sections that are open and are basically used as driveway access. And then there are 2 sections that are just basically not opened. So the biggest question to me would be, what about the sections that are dirt and are open not driveway. I'll give a very good example. It's from Treescape south to this road called Trails End Road that comes out of, what's that called, Hans Creek Farm. It's a lengthy section, very wide. This is no narrow driveway. It's a wide dirt road, not in good condition. It's got at least four wet potholes in it, has a history of having dumping on it. Do you want to be dealing with that, or should that be the highway department? And there's a much shorter, narrower one further south near the John's, what they call the John's Lane Farm. It used to be Maggie Kotek's horse farm. That's just north of Whalebone Woods.
And the people built these houses and these driveways with the understanding that the town owned that land.
Well, let me take that long section of dirt, Pat. No one's taking access off that. No one uses that no one has to go that way, but it is open.
Then that goes back
People
into the
do drive on
category that it's ours.
Right.
Then you have the responsibility of maintaining it,
For what?
because it's a mess. You might want to take a look at it.
Wait a minute, if nobody uses it, why do we care if it's?
No one needs to have it for access. There are no driveways off of it, but it is open, it is travelable. You can drive on it, and it's not in good condition.
Yeah, if you use
We have that issue on a lot of trustee roads. People just dump stuff.
I mean, can't we
Yeah.
just revegetate it or something and turn it into a part of the
That'd be a major revegetation.
forest there?
Nice, just drive
Well,
on
we'll
it.
revegetate it.
Well, I'm thinking, go down Montauk Avenue, go off Montauk Avenue off Hans Creek Road, make a right turn at the end of Montauk Avenue and drive down to Trails End Road. Check it out.
Okay. All right, I haven't seen it.
Have your four-wheel drive on.
Yeah, bring some bags, you can pick up the garbage down here.
It'll
right,
sound
well,
like there's some
thanks.
time before we
Drop 'em
meet
off at your
with
house.
the town board about it.
Yeah, we're not gonna meet for at least a couple of weeks, because I'm not around
Put it
next
in the
week.
duck blind.
But, you know,
All right.
I'll find out when the date
weekend.
is, and hopefully you guys
in
can
there.
discuss it again and decide what your position will be.
Let's try and make a decision at the next meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, it'd be good. Seriously, it would be good if some of you could just go out and check out.
I'll
some of
drive
this.
I know that one you're talking about.
Okay. Next, trustees' application for the village ZBA. That's Georgia Pond stuff. It's a Friday, I believe. They meet in the morning or the afternoon? Village ZBA.
Village GB, 11 a.m. on Fridays.
11, yeah.
So,
Fridays a month.
who's going?
I'm not going to be here.
Okay, it looks like Francis is going.
I think Richard Wendell's going.
Francis is not going. Is he really? No. Okay. All right. Driftwood Shores, the never-ending saga of Driftwood Shores.
Did you get that?
Yeah, I don't have that.
Came
Yeah, I
up
don't-
again today.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
Judith Reese came in to see me. And if you remember, the Reeses own the house lot where the neighbors were challenging their ownership of the beach. We, of course, did a title search, and title search appears to be consistent, uniform across the entire subdivision. We can't find that there's any title in the trustee. Again, I would never disclaim it entirely for all time, but we can't find any proof that we own or have owned the beach. Apparently, from talking to Ms. Reese, there's a lot of, shall I say, friction in that community. And it's fairly intense. People are not getting along. And it's led on at least one occasion to a police call. When the police come with regard to what's going on the beach, I guess other people involved down there have said, well, it's in dispute, it may be a trustee beach. So, the Reeses, I guess, are asking us to at least put on the record the results of our title search.
Well, I thought we did that last meeting.
I don't know that we put anything in writing, though.
Okay.
Yeah, but what happens is the police department goes up there, they talk to the neighbors, and they talk to them, and then they're just left holding the bag that this is a dispute
It's a civil
with the
matter.
trustees. But they're claiming that the trustees may own it.
No, it's
They're
not.
giving
no,
the
it-
police misinformation.
But Francis, hang on. The Reeses, the Driftwood Shores people came here last month, okay? Rick read the results of that title search. One of the individuals from Driftwood Shores said he had spoken to a friend of a friend that said, there's earlier deeds. We all agreed, listen, guys, you're welcome to research this farther on your own, but at this point, we are a disinterested party here.
Okay, they're not representing it that way.
Who isn't?
Some of the neighbors.
Some of the neighbors.
Okay, no, what's?
So
put it in
the
writing.
Reeses are asking for something in writing, so that if the police are up there, they understand that this is not a trustee issue. It may be a civil issue.
I'm going to be honest with you,
But
Francis.
If it comes to harassment, they should be protected.
Hold on, no, wait a second. Like Rick said, if at some later point, some deed or some document surfaces that changes this, I don't really think that it's our job to either reinforce the Reese's position or dispute the Driftwood Shores position, okay? We researched it, we spent some money on it, we can send the police department a copy of the search, but I don't think we're obligated to give anybody a...
We gave the Reeses a copy of the results.
Yes.
They have a copy of the results
okay.
already.
I think one-page note, lawyerish, to send to the Reeses.
Well,
Should
this
do
was
it,
before
right?
you. I told Mrs. Reese that the Board of Trustees would have to decide what you'd want to do, whether you want to put anything further in writing. We haven't put anything in writing to anyone. We've just made verbally on the record, we've stated what our title report says. The title report is public information.
It was reported in several newspapers that it's still an open issue. That's how it was reported.
But those people are being harassed.
Actually,
It's not an open issue at this point. If other evidence
to
comes
us, it's
forward,
not an open issue.
correct. But that's not the way it's been
We can write,
displayed.
at this time,
I got to tell you, I'm always reluctant to provide any individual with some self-serving document that they can use to basically cram down their neighbor's throat, okay? This is a civil matter between the Reeses and their neighbors, okay?
Okay, then how about this? How about if we inform the police department that we are not disputing the ownership of that land? It has nothing to do with the trustees.
Check it out. That's what happens.
yes. Francis, I agree.
And then that way they can move forward with whatever they need to do.
Well,
I don't think we're obligated to.
can I tell you what?
We're not obligated
I
to
gotta
do a
tell
lot
you,
of things, and
I
we
like
do
the
it.
way you just phrased it, our decision of the last meeting. Put that in the
My-
minutes.
I'm going to tell you, my
Give the
gut
PD
says,
or the
I don't want
feds
to
a
get
copy of
involved
the,
in
or
this.
Reese's a copy of the minutes.
Yeah, I think we just
Done.
need to inform the
That's
police
public
department
record.
that,
I don't even think we need to inform, because I got to tell you, as soon as we inform the police department or anything, we've chosen a position in this thing, and you know what?
well, somebody else is representing
Title
our
company,
position.
Fidelity,
Somebody who's not on this board is representing our
a
position.
neutral party did the research.
Yeah, but it's not our position. All we did was basic research to find out if we might be the owners of this property, which appears we're not.
Okay, let me throw something to you that's gonna make you decide. Something terrible happens on that property. Major lawsuit. Then are you gonna say, to our knowledge, due to research, we find that we have no claim to this property?
Hang on, we provided the Reeses and the people from Driftwood Shores, we provided those documents. Now, if any of those parties want to interpret these things for their own devices, and that's what's going on here, so be it. I'm not really looking to give somebody some more supporting documents for these people to continue battling. When they came here the first time, Rick gave them really, really good advice and said, guys, you have the Driftwood Shores people have the opportunity, if they feel that they're entitled to a prescriptive easement across this property, they can sue, okay? and the Reeses can hire an attorney, and the people from Driftwood Shores can hire an attorney, and they can fight about this until they get sick of spending money on it, and then ultimately
All right.
come to maybe agree with each other, but apparently that is not possible. So then they came back to us, and they got us researching this thing, which we spent $1,800 of the public's money to decide that we don't have an interest in those things. I think it is time that we're not involved in this. We don't need to contact the police force, because quite frankly, when the cops go to a place like this, this is a civil matter at this point.
Well,
Let the homeowners,
Exactly
I
what
think
you just
that, I
said,
think that
we're
line's been
writing.
crossed.
yeah.
Say that again?
I think that line has been crossed where between civil and,
Sounds like things down there are very toxic right now.
it's extremely toxic.
And no way to live.
A little bit more.
Terrible.
There is one
what-
issue they're having that we could maybe clear up, which is that part of the letter says they're having disputes over, how do they recognize the mean high water line? And it seems the neighbors,
yeah.
it seems that the neighbors are basing the mean high water line on the rack line, which is the place where the
there's-
seaweed collects
what-
after the last high water
What
event.
we see, they're behind the rack line.
Guys,
Well,
guys,
but the rack line doesn't really
this is-
determine the mean high water line, which
This
is
is
the problem they're running
This is one
into.
of those things, Francis, it doesn't concern us. There's no reason for us to get involved in this. And quite honestly, up until the point the Driftwood Shores people came here, they would have thrown any one of us off of that property if we had gone down there on our own.
All right. When the way we left this, one of the other, we had our
Title search done.
result from the title search.
Fidelity,
We
yes.
were willing to accept that until we get further evidence.
And we did.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're
One
right.
of the other residents there came up here and said, well, I have a friend of a
Yep.
friend of a friend who works at the county clerk's
Right.
office, who says that they didn't go deep enough because there's evidence there that they do on it. And we left it open to him. I mean, that's the way it appeared, that
That's
we
the
left
way-
it open for him to continue that
Yes,
search.
we did our part.
can.
And,
He
but by
can do his
doing
further
that,
search if he
by
wants to.
doing that, we gave the impression that we were allowing this to continue.
We are allowing it continue because there's nothing, because Francis, I can unilaterally decide to press a title search on your property.
I understand.
It doesn't,
But he came to us and asked permission, and we said yes. Why did we have to give him permission?
we didn't give him
We did.
permission. We
We
said if
absolutely
you,
did.
no, we
Permission
didn't. We said if you
can't
want
tell
to
him he
do this,
can't.
you're certainly welcome.
But he asked.
don't think-
He asked, and we said yes. So that's giving him permission.
We said, of course you can do anything you want on your
And
own.
we did the search.
Okay,
Why
but-
did we
but-
spend the money
Okay,
to
but
do the search?
we're being
Why did we just
manipulated.
talk about it?
Actually, hey, you know
We were
what?
manipulated to make it appear that we are not really accepting the results of that
I
title
don't feel
search.
manipulated.
Okay.
Well, let me make a suggestion, because I think you both have very reasonable points, and I kind of agree with both of you at the same time. Maybe another way around this is, maybe I could tell Mrs. Reese, look, we don't run the town police, obviously, but the town police, the town and the town attorney's office have input into them. I can certainly tell the town attorney's office where things stand, and they can so inform the town police. Now, I'm not quite sure what that will mean, because, when they go out there, even if the Reeses have a deed, as they do, that goes to the mean high water line, still get into a couple of other issues, which is, well, where is the mean high water line? Not our call. And do they are there other rights, the prescriptive easement that Jim was talking about? So, but I do think I can at least tell the town attorney's office to inform the town police that at the moment, based on the evidence that we have right now, which is as far as we can take it, we don't have a claim to that beach. In that respect, based on current evidence, there's no public claim of ownership on that beach.
Do the Reeses have a copy of Fidelity's answer?
Yes,
I believe
yes,
so.
we supplied it to them
supplied it
at
to
the
them.
last meeting.
Well,
They do have it.
so should the police.
Yeah, but a police officer responding to a call isn't going to sit there and read it.
Plus, 30
The
people.
thing,
not their
the
job.
bottom line, hey, Francis, this is a civil matter
We're out of it.
between
I'm with Jim
private
here. We're out of the
property,
issue.
private
Yeah.
property owners, and you know what? After we send the letter to the Reeses, we're gonna get a request from the Driftwood Shores Association to supply them with a document reiterating what we thought we already said. And the fact of the matter is, this is gonna have to take, at this point, we did due diligence, we did a title search, the results did not come back to everyone's
Now,
satisfaction.
this is looking more and more like one individual down there and not the association.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, in the
It-
pictures, it's very much,
Whatever.
He's in the Reeses.
Okay, but you know what? I think that will settle itself. I'm not looking to really pick a side here. And I
All right.
feel like,
We did what we could
Francis,
for the
I feel
public,
like
and-
doing this. I think we did a pretty good job up to this point of taking a neutral position. Okay? Now that we've got individuals coming back and saying, we want a document telling us what you said at the meeting, well, both parties were at the meeting. Okay, both parties heard it. I don't think we're really in a position to really provide any more information than we already have. I think we've already done our
Okay,
job.
and then let's make it very clear that we are not claiming ownership of that beach at this point because we do not have evidence of
No,
ownership.
we don't. And that was stated at our last meeting.
Which,
But that's not to say it might not come to light in the future.
Let's stop that.
anything can happen.
Exactly.
But that's,
But that may very well be the
Right.
case. And you know what? But we don't have a crystal ball.
right.
No, we don't,
So we can't claim it, and
right.
it
So-
appears that the Reeses own
And
the
the
beach
very
in front of
first
their
time these
house.
people came to us, we told them, Rick did a very good job of articulating the fact that right now we don't have any jurisdiction here. And they came back, we did the title searches, I think we've done our jobs here.
Okay, so as long as we make it crystal clear
It's crystal clear in my
that
mind.
it appears that they own the beach at this time because we don't have evidence of ownership. You agree?
We do not have evidence of ownership.
I wouldn't say we don't have evidence of ownership. I'd say we don't have
We don't have evidence of
proof
ownership.
of documented proof at this time.
Well,
You know,
that's
you gotta
another way
leave
to say
it-
we don't have
We
evidence.
don't have evidence of
Really?
ownership,
I don't
period.
like evidence. Okay, all right.
no harm in that, that's
So-
fine.
At least
Documented
we
proof,
can
that's
get-
true.
agree to this.
Let's face it, that deed thing was pretty darn, not only was the deeds pretty smudged and hard to read, the language
Well,
shows it, and that was at the very least
Right,
vague.
and we don't know what happened before
But we don't question the
1884 or
results
whatever.
of,
Okay.
And no one, we haven't heard
Research.
back from Mr. Fahey if his title search is
Right.
going anywhere, right?
So that's
Okay, so
it.
let them do that.
Fidelity's pretty good. I mean, if fidelity only takes it back to 1844, I'm going to be somewhat skeptical that someone finds something earlier. Is it impossible? No, but it's not very likely.
Can I have those, too?
it's freezing.
What's that?
May I have those?
Oh, I didn't know these were,
Yeah, well, they were
I didn't get a
delivered.
chance to.
Sorry, I tried to tell you, Jim.
Oh, you can look
The
at
letter and the
I-
pictures.
The first one seemed to, they all seem to
Okay.
repeat the same thing, yeah. It's
All right, committee reports. I still have nothing on aquaponic dredging status.
Oh, can I say something on Acabonic?
Yeah, me too.
Real quick, Louse Point, I noticed that some of the kayak split rails were broken. Last year, I got them from Tony Littman. I'll check with him and go down and just replace them. It's kind of a quick fix. The top split rail, Louse Point kayak racks.
Weren't you going to put more down there?
I didn't, okay, I
Yeah,
didn't know
just-
they were broken.
Yeah, I just noticed the other day.
On a different subject in Agabonic, Diane, did you have any, did John Shake talk to you the other night at the Businessmen's Alliance thing? I guess there was some kayaks and some racing sculls that, I'm not sure where they were.
I believe they were probably over on Gerard Drive.
Okay, that were picked up
Yes,
and sort of impounded.
sort of.
And the people are having a hard time getting them back. They're incensed that, like, there was a history of them always having these things here, and then suddenly they were taken away.
Yeah, well, the ones that were taken away were the ones that were stored in the beach grass, and I showed you
Okay.
those on the
Oh.
screen.
Okay.
damaging the grass. I mean,
Those were the only ones that were taken away, were the
Okay.
ones in the grass.
The individual involved that John Shea apparently is represented reiterated that they were not, they were on the sand beach where they had always
Okay,
been.
well,
Maybe he
I
could
didn't
show
take
it
them.
to us on the
Okay.
photograph.
I didn't take them, Marine Patrol took them.
Okay,
And
so it was not us.
they claimed that they took what was in the grass and
Okay.
left the others. Now,
All right.
we have photographs of the ones that were in the grass. If any of those belong to John Shea's,
Okay, well, if they apparently weren't able to get the things back because it was a whole matter of proving that they were theirs in the
That's
first.
the problem with kayaks.
always a
no
problem, yeah.
Whole numbers.
I get it. I get
Well,
it.
there are serial numbers.
right, if they had a trustee permit, with a
Right.
registered number, we could tell you.
But they
It
wouldn't have
belonged-
a trustee permit, Gerard.
Oh, I know, I'm just saying though,
Okay,
Yeah.
you know.
so it was not us.
They don't.
It was not us.
Okay, that's all I want. That was my only question.
No, it all be, it's all part of that investigation of somebody running a rental.
Right,
Oh, is that what triggered this whole thing?
run a business.
That was part of it,
Kayak.
yes.
Yeah.
All right.
The other acrobonic thing that I have is I went to the Acrobonic Protection Committee fundraiser yesterday, and it was a blast. And I want to thank them for inviting all of us and for having me. There was a good guest speaker, Matt Sclafani from the Cornell Cooperative Extension, and he spoke about groundwater and how it gets into the bays, and kind of gave some nice diagrams and descriptions of how this kind of submarine groundwater seepage works. We have fresh water under the ground and on the land. You have a saltwater body, and it's a zone at which there's an interchange between that fresh water that seeps out of the groundwater into the body, and then that's a major place where nitrogen is input to surface waters through the groundwater. So he really drove home how much more groundwater there is carrying this nitrogen than there really is the surface water, stormwater runoff. While stormwater runoff is important, a lot of localities are focusing so much on stormwater runoff when really the groundwater has many times more input into the harbors than the surface water does. Stormwater runoff does. So that was interesting, and I also, then there was kind of a discussion, among the acrobonic people real quick about what's happening with Girard Drive. Isn't the town lifting up the road? Is the culvert going to be opened? So I decided today to contact the highway department and ask them, what is happening with this road raising? And Steve Lynch wasn't there, but I left a message on Kevin Ahern's voicemail asking him to send us a copy of the plans to raise that road so we can really see what's happening there. So I hope that our office will receive a copy of the plans. I don't know if anyone else has tried to talk to them about exactly what the details of the plans are there, but I'd love to actually have plans in our office, so hopefully they can produce this for us soon.
Good. Good, just start that ball rolling.
You were in touch with Gobler about the culvert?
Not in the past 2 weeks. I have not had a chance to speak with him regarding potential.
The benefits of opening it? Is that?
Yeah.
No, he has the data, and it's almost ready to turn over to us.
What's his data, the results
That was
of
the last I knew.
fresh water, the fresh salt
And
water
he's
coming
prepared to
through?
provide data to us to help us facilitate
The permit to
permitting
open it.
process. to open
great.
it.
What is his feelings about open? Is he in favor? Have you spoken?
Yeah, he seemed to be in favor
Okay.
that it would have a positive impact. I also spoke to some people from Cornell who seemed to share that viewpoint,
Okay.
that infusion of cooler, clean water would help to moderate
Well,
temperatures.
maybe if we could get some,
Yeah,
if
go
we
ahead,
could
get
get a letter from Cornell, if we could get a letter from Gobler, I think that would help in pushing the permitting on this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because that seemed to be what was absent, is any sort of real
Right.
documentation
Okay.
from an agency that they felt that this was a
I'm
beneficial.
kind of expecting pushback from vector control.
Let me see if I can get a couple letters for the next meeting.
And Kim told me she wasn't sure just yet if in fact it would be effective. She's kind of,
Well, the thing is, you know what, you can be unsure that it's gonna be effective, but until you actually clean it out and do some
Right,
testing,
right.
you're not gonna be
That's
sure.
the whole idea.
Yeah, as
Right,
long as we're
right.
doing
And that's, I
data
think that's
collection
the
so we
point, I think
can
that's the
know if
point
it
we're
works or
trying to
not.
make.
And Dr. Goldberg did add
Nutshell,
some
yep.
key elements to his testing to establish some baseline data that he could measure, given that it would be open for next year, and he can compare back to this
so
year.
that having been said, could we just, if Kim Shore wasn't in favor of opening the culvert, could we just go ahead and, do the permit work with the DEC and make this thing happen? Based on professional opinion? Okay.
And you'll get your new secret on it.
Or we could skip it all and just open it because we're trustees and we can.
Oh, God bless us.
199 Lily Pond Lane.
It's a big risk of just doing stuff without
Nothing
knowing if it's
there?
gonna work or not.
Okay. Phragmite control applications, Bruce. I spoke to him today, and he asked if we can reach out to George Hammer and arrange to meet on site to discuss these things. You up with that? Okay. Popcorn, dock reconstruction.
I think we need to get in touch with the agent to schedule a site visit. I think that was Matthews and Egan and Matthews. We should probably reach out to them. And,
Oh, popcorn?
yeah, to follow up on the dock reconstruction. We were over there quite a
Yeah,
while ago.
that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Harbor management.
We've scheduled a organizational meeting for the 21st at the trustee office. I've reached out to the current members and have heard back from one of them confirming their availability. I believe Jim is available, and Francis, would you be available a week from Wednesday?
Yep.
So we're going to try and do a restart there on the 21st. And I believe we also got some feedback that
What time is it, 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock, that the committee would be covered under town insurance, so if they're doing field work, there would be insurance in place to protect them. We were kind of waiting on that to make sure we had favorable information on insurance protection for the committee. So it looks like we're really ready to get started there. So if anyone else would like to participate or have any input, we'll be meeting on the 21st.
All right, great. How about any plans for that meeting? I mean, what are you going to kind of propose to them as a new structure for the committee, or should we talk about this tonight at all?
At the moment, I'm thinking of two departments, one being field observation and reporting, which is more along the lines of what some of the current members have currently been doing. Perhaps a little more of a formal process there with actual, field reports and documentation. Possibly surveying the duck blinds, mooring fields, things like that. Getting some real field data. We have quite a bit of meetings going on currently, and rather than overlapping on top of the current trustee meeting structure, maybe focusing more on field work.
Great.
The other area of interest is more environmental and interacting with our neighbors to the east and west with Montauk and Sag Harbor, and hoping to realize some synergies and efficiencies for management policies for areas, like harbor management of moorings and other areas. So I think there's a real opportunity there to do some communication with our neighbors.
Have we thought more about the idea of, including the Montauk water bodies in this and assigning people to the committee who would address, Lake Montauk and
Well, that's
Pond?
exactly what that area
Yeah.
would be doing. So
So
that's
we
going to
need
be
a-
part of
we
that
need-
discussion.
Somewhat, 6 or 7 committee members then, or what?
Well, I think it would have to be a more expanded base than 2 or 3 members.
Yeah, definitely.
So
The
those are things
initial-
that'll be vetted out, during the organizational meeting.
Yeah, just kind of going back to the fact that the initial committee structure was outlined as having a representative for each water body. I like that idea, if everyone else does, and I'd like to keep that and keep this committee running kind of the way it was initially structured.
And I think the water bodies were the trustee.
It was just the trustee water bodies in the initial description, I think, but I'm in favor of expanding that to Montauk and maybe, having somebody for Sag Harbor, of course.
Yeah, so, Tyler, if you'd like to join us, you're welcome to attend, so.
I can't be there Wednesday at 6, but,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, if you want to send me an email with any thoughts or comments or inputs, I'd be happy to
Sure.
see that they're represented.
Wondering about a time frame for when we might start nominating other members to the committee as to get that rolling.
I think the first step here is having that organizational meeting.
Yeah.
And,
And then from there, we can look at, what type of composition of the board that we'd like to undertake. But those are some good thoughts we'll take to the meeting.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Launching ramp?
Yes.
Peak, Lazy Point?
That, I have nothing. Fresh pond excavation should start October. I'm going to meet with Kim along with Mark Edwards, the guy with the lowest proposal.
To what extent is that going to be dredged? How far up?
I think it's 460 feet. I have the plans, I have the papers if you want to see
Yeah,
them.
I'd love to see
I
that.
have everything on it.
Okay.
And in fact, if you want, Thursday at noon, we're going to meet with Kim at her office and go over this, just to make sure Mark has everything he needs. And SECRA has been done on this. Kim has done it. And we did at one point owe her some money for work she did on it. And she says it's over, it's done with, you don't owe me.
Oh, that's nice.
But we owe her $6,000 on Georgia.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting for her to give me
Okay.
An applica- yeah, it's like stalled.
I need some
Yeah.
documentation of what the deal was, because
Yeah, because I feel like I'm owed some money.
Throwing $6,000 around.
Okay.
what was that? Oh, you're owed money too?
Hey, on that peak, there's still a duck blind that somebody called me about down, it was a month or so ago, down the end of Napeague Harbor Road, you know, the dirt road to the left. I'll get that out of there. And I see the ospreys have stopped using that duck blind sitting out in the middle of Napeague Meadow. I'll get that out of there for the next
cycle.
How do you want to deal with these things down there?
The duck
'Cause
blinds?
Obviously, those,
I
they
found
don't work.
I have found a great place for the duck blinds.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about next season, this coming season's duck blinds.
I think,
Are we
you know
going to
what,
approach it differently?
Well, you know what I think, the difference in approach here, Rick mentioned it, is actually, is it Adam? Was talking about like having the duck blinds, if we know where they started, well, when they go missing, we know which ones they are and we know who we can contact. The problem we have right now is these duck blinds are, they're mystery duck blinds. There's no way to hunt these things down, I think, at this point. I think moving forward, any applications that get submitted, we have somebody like, listen, give us a location. One of us has got to go down and actually verify the duck blinds there, and we'll start keeping better track of them than we have.
The field ops and reporting.
You were going to
Are
photograph.
those type of blinds
photographs.
appropriate for that area?
Well, you know, that's a really good question, and I think we maybe start moving to something that, you know, we'll talk with the people that are setting these things up. Maybe we can come up with a better system or a better design that's a little easier to drag across the friggin' marsh when you have to get them out of there.
Bill
because-
Becker had told us at the harbor management meeting that Napeague is a really difficult water body to have these permanent blinds in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because they don't stay put.
Right, yeah.
That may be one of our first topics for harbor management as the hunting season's coming up.
Yeah, yeah, it'd be
And
nice to have
do a-
this stuff.
Do a survey and, you know, some things.
Because I don't want to be telling people they can't. Okay, no, you can't have blinds in there. You should be able to do that. We got to come up with a system
A
of,
better system.
so that the people that have the blinds know that it's the end of the season. It's time to get the blind out of there.
Right.
Okay, and I think in the sense that if you can reinforce they need to get them out of there, maybe they build something slightly less weighty,
And more modular or.
more modular that can be put in.
And when they
put out.
break loose, they're responsible. I mean, you
Yeah,
should
but
be down there
yeah, but you know,
checking them
yeah, but
out.
you know what, Francis, you know what the difficult thing is? The couple that I went there to deal with this year, these were not new blinds. These were friggin' old blinds that had probably been there for years, and,
But again, they shouldn't have been. They
okay,
were
but
supposed
hang
to be
on,
removed.
A storm dislodged them from wherever they were. It's really hard to figure out where they came from. All you know is where they are
Do
now.
they have a ID on them?
No, listen, I ain't gonna go through the friggin' ID thing again.
No, just-
She's
just to know
the
who it
pain
is.
in the ass that had me down there friggin' looking for an ID.
All right.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm surprised we don't have a tag on them.
Well,
That'd be a good
Supposed to,
update.
right?
They're
Yeah.
supposed to put alarm, we send them
Okay, that would help.
But you know what? These things, honestly, they were old. They were old. I wasn't,
Gotta catch them when they're new.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. 3 Mile Harbor, Paddle Diva.
What does that mean?
All right, we got a complaint from a resident down there that she has a setup on the beach in front of Shagwong Marina. And it's a trustee beach, and they're destroying the grass there, and we need to get her off of it.
Just for the matter of point of interest, I represent the applicant in an
Oh,
appeal to
okay.
the zoning board on the 23rd.
So that leaves us lawyerless on
Paddle
this
Diva?
subject.
Paddle Diva,
Okay,
yep,
all
On
right.
another matter?
However, so here's what I understand.
on the use of the property.
On the inside of the harbors, we don't own beaches, we own the bottomland. So in essence, that's not our land. That's my understanding. It's a little patch of beach next to the marina.
I would say, first of all, let's get the most recent survey done of the marina and find out where their property boundaries are. And anything seaward of their seaward boundaries, public property.
That's logical.
Yeah. And I would, and if their survey shows that they go right to mean high water, then I'd say I want a copy of the deed. 'Cause I want to read that the deed matches the survey. And if it goes into the water, I would do title search.
Okay.
Is that the one that's doing the, can't think of the name of it.
In the interim, though, isn't there anything, whether it's trustee property or not, is there anything in the code regarding use of public properties for private enterprise? Like peddling or
This town
whatever
is
they
being
call it?
taken over with that.
It is, yeah, I know.
Well-
It's all mass gathering, maybe check in there. I don't know.
It's my understanding that she tried to work through the marina, but there was a question about change of use, business use.
Oh, so she just said
And
it.
somehow she ended up down there. So,
Yeah, I could see that. If it's registered as a marina, then they can't go and do it separate business enterprise on the same location.
So then she's assuming she's not on their property. She's on public
okay,
property.
so where we're at this point, it's a complaint from a neighbor, so
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to just
how are
see.
we addressing this?
Is Shagwong Mendel's?
No, Kupinski.
Okay. Is she the one that does yoga on paddleboard?
Yeah.
We
Okay,
could-
now we're down to the nitty-gritty.
We could talk to the marina and see what their talks were like, what kind of agreement they came to. I don't know, give us
You
more
could do that.
information about that. I could do that, I could.
What were you getting to, Auckland?
Just an idea. If we can get more information about the problem and see, what Shagwong and her talked about when they were trying to
Where
work
this
together.
originated.
At this point, it's a phone message of a complaint.
Right.
I don't
The
usually,
complainant has not come before us, and
Right, yeah.
I usually wait for the third phone call.
third phone call?
Yeah, otherwise I'm on the phone.
Well,
all
I've
the time.
tried to return calls to this
Right.
person, and there's no, the machine has yet to pick up, so.
Well, I think basically, if we can have someone visit the site while the business is in operation, and if it is allowing the boats to be located within the beach vegetation, or the boats are impeding the public's access to and along the shoreline, she's in violation of the code.
What boats?
The paddle
The
boards.
paddleboards.
Paddleboards.
Paddleboards, that's what I meant, paddleboards.
I'm not quite sure how public
Yeah.
could gain access to that
There's a lot
stretch
of
of
beach grass down there.
shoreline, but,
You could go,
Just
let's say you
walking.
were visiting the neighbor,
okay,
and walk down the beach.
On your
Okay.
paddleboard?
You know?
yep. All right,
Or if somebody wanted to pull up their little dinghy to just go sit on the beach, if she's in the way.
so Tyler, you're gonna go down and take a look at it?
No,
Apparently.
You're going by dinghy.
Didn't you just
Now
say?
you're going to find out the advantages of the dinghy dock.
You just said you would
See?
go down and take a
I
look.
did, I will.
Yep, he did. He-
Okay.
Crawford.
All right. Administrative payment of bills. Optimum, $166.65. Staples, $73.05. Fidelity National Insurance Services, $2,000 for Wainscott Pond, excuse me. Anthony Tohill, White Sands, $4,042.50. David Egan and Associates, Clemente, $150. Zweig, $15,850 for a total of $16,000. Star Island Yacht Club, $483.39. Seacoast Enterprises Associates, $90.84. Both of those are pump-out boats. And North Fork Water Supply Company, $30.41.
Make a motion to pay the bills.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye. Would it be possible, maybe in November, to have Brian come in, Brian Matthews, and give us an update on Zweig? I'd like to have him do that from time to time.
Let me, I'll just weigh in on this.
Sure.
There's a motion that's been submitted. I think we discussed this probably about 2 meetings ago. So that's why you're seeing this big bill, because the motion was a voluminous amount of work. A whole bunch of legal principles are in play here. I don't think you're going to see any activity now on that Zweig matter until there's a decision made by the court. So everything is fully submitted, as far as I'm aware, by both sides, and it'll just await a decision of the judge.
Good.
All right, that works for me. Scratch my request.
Okay.
Thank you. Yep.
All right, minutes. June 27th, 2016. July 11th, 2016. July 25th, 2016. Have you guys reviewed them?
Yeah, they look good to me.
I have
Look
read
through 'em, I
every
really
one of them, and
See any glaring, do you have any suggestions, Pat?
nope, I find them perfect.
Anybody else?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Specifically, the July 11th, it reads that I was present at the meeting, and I was not. It says Rick was not present, but I believe he was. So just clarify who was or wasn't there, but just 7-11, I wasn't at the meeting. But in review of those minutes,
Wait a minute, Rick was here?
I believe he was at that meeting, yeah. And then, I don't know how you want to go about it, but the very first paragraph regarding the aquatic weed harvester, there was a report given, I don't have a copy of them in front of me, but the minutes read that it was removing blue-green algae. But it wasn't removing the blue-green algae, it was removing the other algae.
Actually, it was moving more sago pond weed than anything.
Yeah.
What minutes?
July 11th.
And what should it have been?
Sago Pond?
Sago pond
Sago
weed.
Pond weed.
Or just aquatic, I mean,
Opposed to the blue-green algae, it was taking out,
a variety of plants, though, really. I mean, because they get some Phragmites in there, they get some Cladophora in there.
Yeah.
So maybe just aquatic macroalgae, or not even that, because it's not all macroalgae, some of it's vascular plants. So I don't know,
Yeah.
aquatic plants.
Yeah, sago's is a vascular.
And then the algae was unloaded at the properties located on either side of the pond, not loaded, but just was unloaded and then taken to the,
town landfill.
yeah.
Okay.
They were unloaded and then loaded.
Right.
All right, that's fair. That's a good catch.
Okay. And then in
July?
July 25th,
Yep.
the paragraph 7, we're talking about the stakes for the beach down by Maidstone. And it was, I think it read that the stakes were being set for a proposed 22-foot wide opening for vehicular access, but the access is already there. So I would prefer that it read, the stakes are being set for a proposed fence to protect the beach vegetation. So we don't want to imply that there is no access there. The access is already there.
I'm okay with that. That's the intent.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, and then I wanted to just clarify paragraph 9, the acarbonic soundings. Is that something that we are going to receive? The minutes say we haven't received them yet, or is it something we're going to do? We're going to start?
We're waiting for someone, I believe,
Ed Michaels.
Ed Michaels, to do the soundings and then give us the results.
Okay, so
So
that
this
does
is
read
perfect.
correctly.
Yep.
Okay.
It's good.
Okay.
Make a motion they be approved.
Second.
All in favor?
As amended.
With those
With amendments.
amendments.
Yep, and I appreciate those amendments, but I'm going to be opposed. Because there's more. No, there's more,
that's
but you
fine.
guys don't want to hear them, so I'm
right.
just letting you know. But those ones were specifically very,
Okay.
the content was very,
Okay.
Well,
yes,
thank you.
thank you.
We have another certificate of deposit renewal ending July, we need to do it by the 15th.
I make a motion that we do the renewal of the municipal jumbo certificate.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is this the Rysam one? I'm just wondering.
No.
No, okay.
This is the jumbo certificate.
The auditor's report, have you guys,
Yes.
Yes.
So long. I'm getting tired of carrying it around.
okay. Any comments?
Yes.
Okay.
Want me to go first?
Oh, good God. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
No, did you guys met as a committee on this?
No?
Okay, I'm just asking. No, all right.
No, everybody got a copy of the
Yep.
report. You're supposed
Yeah,
to
a while ago. I
review
read
it.
it a
and
while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
We're waiting to accept it. or-
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
not.
Accept as in pay the bill?
No, accept, accept.
Okay.
Okay.
Approved.
So, in my review, there were some comments that we had made last year, which they did implement into their writing this year, which was good. But I still see it just bothers me, whether it bothers you guys or not, I don't know. I think it's on page 4. There's a paragraph, changes in net position. The sentence, the last sentence says, a transfer from the town of East Hampton as well as interest and earnings accounted for 50.4% of the total revenues for this board. They continue to refer to our town budget as a transfer, which it's not a transfer. If we're, the only reason they do this, the component of the funds we receive from the town is what they should be auditing. And what do we do with that money? But it's not a transfer, so I don't know.
Sure it is.
No, it's budgeted money, it's not a transfer.
Yeah, but we receive
The town won't
it,
give it
don't
to
we?
us without, the purchasing order and blah, 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 blah. It's not
I
just.
see it. They didn't take it out of one
No, no. it's
budget
like
account and put it into another.
Here's a document that says, yeah, you guys have $600 for office expense, but we can't spend it unless we go through the purchasing policies.
But Len would have, if that was really wrong, it's not wrong.
I don't know.
Len would
Or
have
not.
said, I don't like the wording in that.
Well, you never know.
So,
You
the
never
auditor
know.
does the town as a whole.
Right.
And uses the same kind of language with us that he uses with the other boards.
Did you request
The
a
other,
That's
the other
his
departments.
Do you have any-
departments.
Not just boards, departments.
Dan, did you have any
Yes.
recommendations that you submitted to them for other alternative language for that?
No, not for that.
Okay, so maybe they just couldn't think of an alternative that
This
fit.
this is most of
Yeah.
ours first
Or-
auditor's report.
What's that?
This is most of ours first
Right.
auditing report.
Okay. Yeah, it's a lot to get through. So anyway, but that's where they refer to us as getting a transfer for the town. I don't like that. So then there's this statement on the top of page 7. It says, we as trustees don't create a budget for our expenses. Therefore, they're assuming that the only money we're using is that's been transferred from the town for salaries, repair and maintenance, contractual expenses and equipment, that's received from it. So you have to go back and look at the tables that they're labeled A5 and A6, and you need to see they're putting all of our expenses, whether it's for, mooring tags, et cetera, into like these round pies, percentage of what we spend. So these pies on our expenditures and our revenues are reflecting both town and trustee monies, because we use both. So I don't think they're grasping the concept that salaries is specifically town. It's not us. That comes from the town. So it's like our monies and the town monies are getting jumbled up in these pies and in this wording. And that's how Southampton Town Trustees got into the pickle they're in right now, and had someone come in and shut their books down. And I don't want to see that happen. It's really frightening.
And you
to
sit
me.
down with Len, or do you want to sit down with Naraki? And has this budget already been approved?
Our town
Naraki's
budget was
audit.
approved in.
His audit, not budget, audit.
The audit was, the monies for the audit are in the town budget. That was done last year.
No, the Naraki Smith audit. Has
Right.
it been approved by the town board?
Yes. Yes, they're auditing
So they're
everybody.
not going to change it.
No, but we can just have it on the record that we don't like it. Because if we just say, oh, yeah, okay, if everybody else does it, we do it, and then, it comes back to bite us in the butt, I don't want to become so entrenched with the town that we wind up in the same place Southampton Town Trustees.
Right, I find it to be
Fair.
boilerplate, and this is on last year's,
Yes,
which we did not, this
Yeah.
board did not. You did
right,
have anything to do with.
right.
So you go to Naraki and Len
All right,
and handle it.
I'll try.
We, for our part, need to get this thing approved. Am I right?
I believe you are.
Rick, will putting something on record, like Dan saying that we don't like it, that we're not necessarily, would that
That's a
actually,
good
would that,
idea.
no, I'm just saying, would that actually help us, should something
It
happen?
may.
I suppose, a little bit.
Would be
Thank
kind of
you,
saying
Rick.
like, oh, they just foisted this on us, we didn't really want to do this, but it just
But the
kind of.
board begged to get
Came
this
out this
off
way.
our
Right.
The
hands.
town's not for it, it's state law.
Yeah, we,
mean, it's just- yeah, it's-
we were advised that these folks had to come in and review our records because we were a component unit of the town. Which again, reading this thing, how and who made that determination, I'd like to look into.
But we
a little
are.
more.
When it comes to
To
money.
the budget, to the
Yes.
town budget, yes.
Their
you
salaries.
know.
But then there are monies that come
Yeah.
in that
Yeah,
don't come from the
right,
town.
So
right.
who is
And
sitting
then-
down with them when they perform this audit? Who
They're
is?
just in the office, they just look at the books, the secretaries are there. I was there
I
2
saw 'em
years
there.
ago.
They were-
Yeah, they just come in, look at the books. But then I also noticed, just so it's out there so you know, then there's a list of expenses. And in this list of operating expenses, it says town programs, $41,000. What town program, $41,000, did we spend money on? Clarify that for me. What's your interpretation in our record of that program? And then it goes down into expenditures, and it says, and there's payroll taxes, and it's blank, none. But I know we pay payroll taxes, because we have the 2 pump outboard operators. So there's things that just aren't jiving with me.
Well, then,
Well, that's, I guess,
Yeah.
then we should have them come back and go through it with us.
yeah, I think that's what's necessary, really.
Yeah,
The auditor,
Right.
they have to send someone here and go through it with us.
We have questions.
okay.
Both
Yeah.
because you guys have questions about what they wrote, and also because there's some question about whether they understood what you were,
Right.
spending money on.
Their description of, like I will say, their description of what the trustees are and what we do was so much better this year. That's
So much what?
better. Yeah, yeah.
From
Than
the
in the past.
previous year.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, yeah. But what I will say, just so, you guys in the public are aware, is that they did end it by saying that they did not identify any deficiencies in the internal control that they consider a material weakness. and the results of their tests disclose no instances of noncompliance or other matters that are required to be reported under the governmental auditing standards. So basically, we do our books very well. We're okay. We're not doing anything wrong. It's just a matter of, you know, this understanding of trustee versus town that needs to be clarified.
You're on.
So
All right,
I will try to arrange to get someone back here. And
okay,
if you, and
Yep.
I'll be happy to sit
Okay.
with them also.
and we'll go over it. Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
All right.
It is good.
Report of the clerk. I don't have anything tonight. Okay. Correspondence. Peconic Estuary Program.
Wait a minute, Lori said when.
There is, under report of the clerk.
What do I have, Lori?
There's a whole bunch of stuff. The clam contest.
Yeah, I do some clam contests.
Oh, man, how did you forget that?
Because it's getting late.
I know.
I haven't eaten.
Have a plan.
Okay. Okay, yeah.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you, Lori. We spoke about this earlier today. Largest clam contest. We have to, you have to approve, you don't have to. I'm asking you to approve expenditures of up to $3,500 for miscellaneous expenses for the clam contest, which means I have to go shopping with the card.
Okay, I would, if that's a motion, I'll second it.
Okay, one of the things Lori and I discussed, the tents that are put up every year,
Yep.
they cost $500 every year. We can purchase 4 13-by-13 tents for that much money and have them. Is
Wow.
Anybody
It's a
okay with
no-brainer.
that?
I'm okay
I mean,
with that.
these are smaller than the large one that they put up, but we can spread them around.
Okay,
What's the dimension again?
13-by-13,
And how much have you been paying in the past?
$500 a year.
Well, I mean, for a while, we
Ish.
weren't paying
Yeah.
anything.
Right,
so
but
we donated, but
how,
we had-
you've been
yeah,
paying,
it was
paying for a
500.
while now.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
So
Yep.
if you guys are okay with that, I'll,
Yeah.
Is it a good
Yeah.
investment? Yeah.
yep.
okay. The committee, okay, have to go out and solicit prizes.
Right.
Can this
Yeah,
really,
yeah, I have-
like,
yeah, I can give you my
all trustees
updates,
should go,
basically.
not just the
Right,
committee?
right.
All trustees. Need as many as you can get.
Yeah, if we can get as many prizes as
Yeah.
possible.
But let's
I'm
communicate so we
con-
don't crisscross.
Well, there must be a list of
I have it right here.
previous
I'm
donors.
getting
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah, Carolyn's
Let me give you my
been,
report here.
working on it.
Yeah,
All right, so, yeah, we have a list of previous sponsors who I'm working on contacting and soliciting prizes from them. I believe we've had a generous offer from Jim Grimes over here to have his company donate something.
A backhoe.
Don't go right to generous.
So, and if anybody else out there wants to donate a prize to the trustees' largest clam contest, we accept donations of prizes for the winners. We have 8 winners. There's 2 winners for each harbor of the 4 harbors that we do this from. So we have a
One
junior
adult, one
and
junior.
senior winner for each harbor for the largest clam, and then of course a winner for the largest clam, the clam chowder contest. Not the largest clam chowder, but the best tasting clam chowder. So, I mean, that's basically my update here. I'm out getting prizes, and we have kind of laid out some trustee assignments for people today when I was talking. Do we have that?
We got the tables covered.
Yeah, Brian's getting tables from the fire department.
Yep.
Francis, you're gonna ask Fred Overton if he can make some chowder?
I'll see him Thursday.
Yep. I'll take care of the radio spots, WLNG.
Yeah, Brian's gonna do a little radio spot for
Lori's
us.
gonna do the press, the
Yeah, we'd like to
paper.
we have an ad pretty much ready to go for the papers. Plaques are ordered.
Posters will be done soon.
Posters will be done soon.
Tomorrow. I
Yeah.
have to make copies.
yeah.
Hey,
They help when you go to get sponsors to take a poster in, or,
Oh, I bet.
and the
Okay.
letters, can you do those letters? Yeah.
Hey, Tyler, what
Yeah.
day do you need those clams picked up?
We need them Sunday, October 2nd in the morning, that morning. I think that's the idea, right? You pick them up the morning of the
The
contest.
morning of the
Clam
contest.
entries, yeah.
Yeah.
So there are four seafood shops that, people can put the entry, submit their clams to.
And we're
We have to
picking them
pick them
up,
up.
and we're picking them up where?
Gosman's in Montauk is one of them,
Amagansett
Okay.
Seafood.
And bringing them to where?
to the Bluff Road
Trustee
building.
office.
Yeah, trustee.
What would be
office.
helpful, Jim, is to
The land
call
The Lamb building.
there and ask them if they have any contestants. Because last year, we had somebody go all the way out to Gosman's, and they had no contestants.
All right, I'll ask Brian.
Call before
Remember
you,
that, yeah.
so he won't be going from Montauk to Waynescott.
Well, I'm not gonna do it. I was gonna get my daughter to do it, so she got stiff.
No, thanks, Jim, for doing that, because it's,
Don't forget, she
Just,
needs
you
to
know,
pick up the boxes, too.
we have to
with
hit
this.
seafood shop in Waynscott and Gosman's in
And the
Montauk,
con-
so
and
it's
the-
hard for one person to do all that.
Don't make this complicated.
What's the fourth one?
The fourth one is Seafood Shop in Waynscott, and then there's Stewart's and Amagansett Seafood. We're both in Amagansett. I'm happy to go to the Amagansett
I know
ones.
what you're talking about, yeah.
Okay,
We
a
can
lot
figure
of
this
these
out a lot.
details,
Yeah,
I
as we
think,
get
need
closer
to
to
be
the thing,
done
that's
as,
fine.
in committee.
So that's pretty much,
Okay.
all we have pretty much covered there, yeah. As long as we can,
All right,
Parks Department to provide the garbage cans, picking tables.
Yeah. the whole-
judges?
Yes, I've asked a couple of old timers from Amagansett, and I'm waiting for them to get back to me. I don't want to mention their name at this stage until I hear from them, but they're great guys, and I think if they can do it, they'd make awesome judges.
Great.
Nice. Sounds good.
Sounds like a good way to go.
Yep.
All right, and if you want, I'll reach out to Barley.
Yeah, that'd be good.
You want me to do that?
About coming to do
Do-
demonstration of what the
Yeah.
Shellfish Hatchery's doing
Presentation.
and everything, that'd be great to have there, yeah.
And you
Sure, John,
suggested some others earlier.
Yeah, I have a couple other people I can reach out to see, and I know Joe Potter offered to play some music for the event. So I might get a little
Clam music.
stick guitar there.
He's gotten a lot
Joe is
better.
quite good. He really is.
He's gotten a lot better.
He'll bring the judge, and I believe.
Oh,
Leave
the
Stephen to go see
judge
the-
and the jury, huh?
We should get, see if Mr. Van Scoyak's son is going to be home from school,
Okay.
because he one year won our Rising Fund Scholarship. He wrote a song about the trustees, played it and recorded it, so.
That's pretty cool.
And if he can't be here, maybe he could give the lyrics and the words to Job, and Job could sing the trustees' theme song.
There you go.
So-
I
That's a
don't
fun
know if
idea.
I'm saying.
Can you get a hold of him? I don't know.
I'm gonna be traveling that
Mr. Van
day.
Scoyak?
Oh, well, I know, well, yeah.
gonna be able to
His,
make
but his, I don't know his
All
son.
right,
I mean, I can ask Peter about that, but you know
Yeah,
more about.
I would ask Peter too, I don't know the son myself.
Oh, okay, I
Yeah.
thought you- okay.
No, I was just gonna go to Peter.
I can ask him. All right,
It's like this meeting.
Okay, Laurie,
I'm all set here.
B?
What?
B, this is the first I'm seeing this. October 10th meeting falls on Columbus Day.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, someone's suggesting that we move it to the 12th, but I don't think this is available on Wednesdays, is it?
Oh, no, planning board.
Right, so,
Can we just do it the following Monday?
Well, is there a reason why we wouldn't have it here on the 10th?
it's Columbus Day, it's a holiday.
Maybe for you.
But is the door locked?
Yeah, is it illegal or something? I mean, is that?
I can find out. I'll look into it, we still have time.
Okay.
I'll find out if the building
I
is
don't wanna-
open.
I don't want to.
So is it a three-day
Wanna work?
weekend?
On Columbus Day?
Now, if it was St. Patrick's Day,
How about LTV?
What about our attorney?
What about LTV?
Still be here.
You work on Columbus Day?
I'd be drunk.
No, I take off every holiday that I can legally find.
LTV, are they working on Columbus Day?
I don't know, I don't know. Well, I'll have to look into all this stuff.
Yeah, we'll see him in a little while.
All right.
It's probably.
We
he's
have
gonna drive
time.
to Riverhead
Hey,
tonight.
you done?
You want to skip over correspondence?
I would love that.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to skip over correspondence.
Okay.
Second, yeah.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
yes.
You got
Yes.
that?
Second?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Wow.
26, you can tell us when we meet.
Basket on the